Hey everyone, when you hear the word protagonist, what comes to mind? Maybe someone with godlike power, mountains of treasure, a harem following them around, or a cool status window displaying their every power-up and stat increase, right? Well, today's story has all those things you'd expect in a protagonist. Just, not quite the way you'd think. Our story opens with our protagonist tied up, surrounded by roaring lightning and angry beastmen who look like they've been binge-watching Angry Villagers 101. They're all chanting, "Kill him! Kill him!" In his head, the protagonist wonders, how did it come to this? Wasn't I just trying to take a nap? And where the heck am I? Anyway, suddenly, one of the beastmen, clearly the spokesperson here, steps forward with a sword raised dramatically, looking like he's auditioning for a medieval idol. With a voice as booming as his sword is oversized, he declares, "Today, the next to receive divine punishment shall be this lonely human who dared to intrude upon our sacred land." Okay, our protagonist thinks. A little dramatic, but all right. The beast man continues. For thousands of years, our land, the secret territory of the beast folk, has been hidden from the outside world. And now, for the first time, a human has dared to set foot here. At this, the crowd goes absolutely wild. Like free t-shirt level wild. Some shout, "This is an act of war," while others go with the classic, "Bring down divine punishment upon this human who broke our sacred covenant." Our protagonist feels the panic rising, like he's just been called to the principal's office times 1,000. I was literally just in a cave 5 minutes ago. Is this how I'm gonna go? Really? Then memories start flashing back to him, all the way to 5 hours ago. He recalls a man approaching him outside a restaurant, yelling, "Hey Tsuyoshi, hurry up and finish eating." This guy, someone our protagonist vaguely knows but mostly ignores, lifts the curtain dramatically with one hand, calling out like he's giving some great speech. "Don't dawdle today." Once we're inside, there are 2 other cleaning teams besides us. If you slack off, you won't even get a scrap of metal. The protagonist, eyes glued to his noodles, looks up mid-slurp and asks, "Why are so many people showing up for just a C-rank cave?" The man shrugs, replying, "It's the times we live in. More and more cleaners everywhere. It's not like we're heroes or anything, But Tsuyoshi's barely listening, focusing intently on his meal as though it's his last meal on Earth. Which in hindsight might have been foreshadowing. Just then, a loud voice cuts through the restaurant noise. "Get ready, everyone. The heroes are coming." Our protagonist's friend gives him a nudge. "All right, noodles are done, let's go." Tsuyoshi slurps up the last of his noodles, sighing dramatically. "Goodbye, delicious noodles." I get it. Their cleaning team gathers at the cave entrance, looking like a mismatched group of tourists about to brave a haunted house. The leader, trying to sound tough, mutters, "Even if it's just a C-rank cave, I get chills every time we get close to one." He shivers a little, but quickly tries to play it off. A team member next to him whispers, "If a C-rank feels this creepy, I can't even imagine what it'd be like going into an S-rank cave." Their leader stands at the entrance, squinting at the dark shadows inside. "Yeah, at least this one just has a few. Slightly suspicious dark lines." He's barely finished when 2 heroes, actual heroes, stride out of the cave as if they own the place. The first hero is a young guy in golden armor, so shiny it's probably causing temporary blindness for anyone who looks directly at it. Next to him stands a girl with a spear, looking cool, calm, and possibly thinking about how amazing her hair looks in cave lighting. The warrior grins at her. "Looks like we scored an easy reward. Guess we made out pretty well, huh?" She gives him a polite smile, totally chill. "Yeah, I guess we did." As if clearing out a cave full of monsters was just another Tuesday. From the cleaning crew, someone sighs in awe. "Heroes are so cool. If I could be one, I'd be rolling in cash right now." The guy next to him just scoffs. "Quit dreaming, man. You're a cleaner because you flunked the awakening test. Face it, we're here to mop up the crumbs." Awkwardly, one of the cleaners musters the courage to nod at the heroes and says, Thanks for, all the hero ing. Can we, going now?" The girl with the spear gives a friendly wave. "Sure, go ahead. All yours." The story follows Tsuyoshi Tsukishiro, our not-so-heroic protagonist, whose glamorous title is Stress Collector. That's right, he's part of the cleaners, the guys who venture into monster caves after the heroes have mopped up most of the mess. It's like being part of a rock band, except without the fame, the fans, or the rock music. For Tsuyoshi, who couldn't pass the awakening test because of his weak physical constitution. Becoming a hero was always a far-off fantasy. But hey, a guy's gotta eat. Inside the C-rank cave, scattered remnants of defeated monsters lie around like leftovers from a particularly wild Friday night, and cleaners sift through the rubble, hoping to find anything even remotely valuable. Someone calls out, "This is a small ruined cave, so it's not too big. It'll close in 4 hours. Let's wrap up and meet back here." Got it. The cleaners, including Tsuyoshi, all nod like seasoned pros and set off into the dark, dusty depths. As Tsuyoshi digs through the debris, he spots a fragment of a shield, and his eyes light up. "A shield fragment," he exclaims, lifting it up like he's found treasure. Finally, something that might actually sell for more than a pack of instant noodles. A fellow cleaner, watching him from above, chuckles. "Hey, looks like luck's on your side, Tsuyoshi. Maybe your folks up in heaven are throwing you a bone." Tsuyoshi grins. "Maybe so. All right, I'm heading a little deeper to see if I can find a matching shield, or at least a matching dent." His friend nods, calling after him. "All right, just don't forget to meet us back here in 3.5 hours. Tsuyoshi waves in agreement and heads further into the cave, optimism just barely outweighing the smell of monster guts. 3 hours later, he's combed through more debris than he ever wanted to see in his life, and his treasure count stands at 1 shield fragment. He sighs. Great, just 1 lousy piece. Even the dust mites are disappointed. Just then, a shout rings out from behind him. "Tsuyoshi, it's almost time to meet up." Yeah, I'm wrapping up," he calls back, but he's still scouring the ground. 1 lousy fragment isn't enough to pay for 1 day of Karina's medical bills, he thinks, feeling the weight of it. Suddenly, something catches his eye, a faint glow coming from. "Oh well, what's a random wall doing in here?" He wonders, approaching it like it might magically contain an 18. Leaning over, he peers inside and sees a skeletal hand gripping something that shines like it's auditioning to be in a jewelry commercial. "Whoa, that's a ring," he whispers. With a thrill of discovery, he climbs down the well, ignoring all the creepy corpse vibes. He reaches out and gingerly takes the ring from the skeletal hand. Probably just some poor soul left behind. "Thanks, pal. You're donating to a good cause." The ring glows with a soft golden light, and Tsuyoshi's eyes widen in surprise. An area item. A ring. This kind of gear usually gives a little stat boost, but it'll still sell for a decent price. A mischievous grin spreads across his face. "Well, I'll just wear it for now and let Mr. Nakazato check it out later. Better hurry back before I get locked in here." "Thanks, ancestors, and, random skeleton dude." As Tsuyoshi slipped the ring onto his finger, it suddenly started glowing even brighter, lighting up like he'd just equipped a legendary item in a video game. Then, in a split second, the ring latched onto his hand like glue, sending a jolt of pain through his finger. "Ouch! What is this? A ring or a mousetrap?" he yelped. Suddenly, a system window appeared in front of him with all the tact of a spam email. "The ring has recognized you as its owner. From now on, it cannot be removed or transferred. The boundless passes will open shortly." Tsuyoshi looked around, baffled. "Ah, who said that?" He squinted into the cave shadows, but there was no one around. Then, the ring emitted a yellow glow that expanded into a circular portal. Bewildered, he started shouting, "Hey, somebody, help!" hoping his team might hear him over whatever magic rabbit hole this ring had just opened up. Meanwhile, back in the cave, his teammates heard a faint cry. "Wasn't that Tsuyoshi's voice?" one asked, looking around. "Yeah, he was just here, wasn't he?" another replied. A third teammate shrugged, clearly unconcerned. "Kid's probably off looking for scraps again. It's a shame he didn't pass the hero test, but hey, let's wait it out. We've still got time." But before anyone could blink, Tsuyoshi was engulfed in golden light, his final, "Hey wait," disappearing into silence. Back in the present, Tsuyoshi regained consciousness with a pounding headache. Blinking, he realized he was now surrounded by beast folk, and in front of him stood a massive, electrified hammer that looked far too interested in his well-being. It finally dawned on him. He was standing in some kind of secret beast folk territory, courtesy of the free teleportation ring he'd picked up. On a grand throne nearby, the Beast King sat watching the spectacle with a look that said, "This will be entertaining." With a wave of his hand, he signaled his kin to commence with divine punishment. At the command, a tall, long-haired orc, clearly a VIP in beast folk land, stepped forward, raising his fist and announcing in a dramatic voice, "My fellow kin, today we gather to execute 3 great criminals. The first is one of our own, a traitor who sold secrets of our sacred territory to those filthy elves and humans." The crowd exploded, growling in furious unison. "Shame on you," they roared, practically foaming at the mouth. "Divine punishment upon the traitor." Without hesitation, the long-haired orc kicked the condemned beast folk forward toward the massive, lightning-crackling hammer. The poor criminal barely had time to blink before the bolt struck, reducing him to a pile of ashes in a flash of blinding light. The crowd cheered wildly, like they were at some twisted halftime show, chanting, "Divine punishment upon the traitor." Tsuyoshi, sweating bullets, couldn't help but gulp. Yeah, this ring definitely should have come with a manual. With the traitor's execution wrapped up, the orc turned his gaze towards Tsuyoshi, raising his sword high and casting a dramatic shadow over him. Next to receive divine punishment, the orc declared grandly, "Is this human, the first outsider to ever set foot in our sacred land, hidden from the world for thousands of years. Today, we bring divine punishment upon the human who dared to break our covenant." A beast folk guard seized Tsuyoshi and hoisted him up, dragging him toward the altar like he was a misbehaving cat. Panicked, Tsuyoshi stammered, "Wait, I didn't mean to come here. I got lost. I have a sister who needs me. Please, I'm not your enemy." The guard sneered down at him, unimpressed. "Enough," he snapped, delivering a swift punch to Tsuyoshi's chest, knocking the wind out of him. As pain radiated through his body, Tsuyoshi's mind whirled. "I can't die here. I still have Karina." The orc shoved him to the ground in front of the crowd. Kneeling, bruised, and sweating, Tsuyoshi thought, "I dreamed of being a hero. How did it come to this?" "Filthy human," the orc bellowed, clearly enjoying himself. "You dare to enter our sacred lands? Prepare to be reduced to ash under divine punishment." The crowd erupted, chanting, "Bring down divine punishment upon the sinner." With the hammer crackling and aiming right at him, Tsuyoshi's instincts kicked in just in time. Before the bolt could hit, he managed to throw himself sideways, narrowly avoiding becoming beast folk barbecue. The crowd went silent, stunned. Even the chained beast folk criminals stared, jaws dropping. The long-haired orc muttered in shock. He dodged the lightning of divine punishment. That's unprecedented." From his throne, the Beast King narrowed his eyes, now watching Tsuyoshi with undeniable curiosity. Panting, Tsuyoshi, still bound, still in a mess, glared defiantly at the long-haired orc. "I refuse to die here, you big, hairy jerk," he shouted. But as he finished, another bolt struck him, sending agony coursing through him as the lightning threatened to turn him to ash. No way," he groaned, barely staying conscious through sheer stubbornness. Seeing him writhing, the orc's excitement grew. "Who said the lightning of divine punishment only strikes once? Let's see if he dodges again." The crowd's chanting grew louder and wilder, like they were at a rock concert. "Divine punishment! Divine punishment!" Nearby, a captured beast folk girl, trembling, whispered, "What a horrible fate. Poor guy doesn't stand a chance." Tsuyoshi's mind raced. "No, I can't die here. I have to survive this." Just then, a system notification appeared in front of his eyes like some dramatic game pop-up, activating Boundless Endurance System. Divine selection in process. Suddenly, his burning, battered body began to glow with a golden light, like some kind of mythic action hero. Another alert popped up, as if this was all some kind of cosmic joke. Activation complete. System authentication verified. Beginning body repair and constructing ultimate physique. The Beast King squinted, clearly surprised by the glowing, floating human who seemed less doomed, and more like he just unlocked a cheat code. Another lightning bolt struck Tsuyoshi, but instead of finishing him off, the energy lifted him into the air, his body shifting between being torn apart and mending itself like a bizarre human yo-yo. The long-haired orc gasped, "Is that human still alive?" The system alerts kept rolling in as if Tsuyoshi was in the middle of a software update, constructing ultimate physique. 15% complete. The sight of Tsuyoshi still enduring the divine punishment left the beast folk crowd in shock, and they murmured to each other, "What is happening?" They watched eyes wide as bolt after bolt of lightning hammered into him. each one somehow making him look less like a punished sinner and more like demigod in the making. Meanwhile, Tsuyoshi, still floating and still in unimaginable pain, felt his body crackle with energy. He stumbled toward the massive hammer, every step like lifting a ton of bricks, but the system seemed determined to help him out with new updates. Constructing ultimate physique. 40% complete. Inputting skill, divine eye. As the lightning continued to strike, Tsuyoshi felt something deep within him stir. What? What's calling me? He didn't fully understand, but his legs, almost on autopilot, kept moving him up the altar steps. Each lightning strike burned, yet somehow fueled him, pushing him forward. The beast folk were now dead silent, jaws dropping as they watched this so-called divine punishment basically turn into a power-up montage. That guy, one whispered, eyes wide. Is he leveling up? The system chimed in again, dead set on updating him like a phone that just wouldn't stop. Constructing ultimate physique. 60% complete. Inputting skill, divine consciousness. Inventory. Inputting skill, absolute duplication. Tsuyoshi, half in shock, half on the verge of blacking out, had just one thought. At this rate, I'll be stronger than the heroes who left me in the dust. Tsuyoshi was just a few shaky steps from the hammer. The beast folk watched in paralyzed awe, jaws dropping as this hopeless human edged closer to the legendary weapon. Then the system decided it was time for yet another update. Constructing ultimate physique. 80% complete. The long-haired orc, practically tripping over his own feet, stammered. Impossible. Only the Divine King himself has ever gotten this close to the Divine Hammer. Up on his throne, the Beast King's eyes gleamed, suddenly looking more like a spectator at the world's weirdest sporting event. Is that human? Is he really trying to lift the Divine King's hammer? He muttered, sounding both impressed and a little offended. The lightning around the hammer crackled louder, roaring as if it, too, couldn't believe what it was seeing. Tsuyoshi, every nerve buzzing, forced himself closer. Are you calling for me? He wondered, his mind reaching out in a mix of determination and confusion. What do you even want from me? Finally, his hand brushed the hammer's cold surface, and the system jumped in like a game master with a flair for the dramatic. Ultimate physique construction complete. Special status. Chosen 1 activated. The second his fingers touched the handle, the sky erupted in a flash of lightning, like someone had just cranked the volume all the way up. Bolt after bolt struck him, and somehow Tsuyoshi stayed standing, though he was now giving off a glow that was frankly a little blinding. His eyes shone like they'd just been plugged into the world's brightest power outlet. In the silence that followed, the beast folk gawked as Tsuyoshi, now wrapped in lightning, gripped the hammer and, with a determined grin, lifted it off the ground. He could feel its weight, its power, and he couldn't help thinking, all right, Divine Hammer. You called me, so I'll put your power to good use. With a mighty swing, he sent a shockwave through the room, rattling the walls and sending dust flying. The beast folk stumbled backward, slack-jawed, like they'd just witnessed the world's most epic plot twist. Just as Tsuyoshi was catching his breath, a system notification cheerfully popped up. Congratulations! You have acquired the Divine Hammer. Level up. 3. Current unlocked power of Divine Hammer. 0%. Due to insufficient capability, the full power of the Divine Hammer cannot be demonstrated. Special effect. Unknown. Tsuyoshi blinked at the notification, almost laughing out loud. All that, and I don't even have the full power yet? One of the beast folk, a wide-eyed beast woman, gasped. A human actually lifted the Divine Hammer. It was as if she'd seen a chicken doing calculus. Meanwhile, Ryouga, the long-haired orc who had been yelling the loudest, clenched his fists so hard they nearly cracked. A mere human lifted the Divine Hammer? This was beyond impossible. This was insulting. Even the Beast King hadn't managed it. Legend said that whoever wielded the hammer would become the leader of the beast folk, but surely this had to be some sort of cosmic glitch. As Tsuyoshi tried to process what had just happened, a new status window blinked open in front of him. Level 3? He mused. And this? Is this the divine selection system? Suddenly, with a ground-shaking thud, Ryouga landed right behind him in a puff of dust, snarling. You filthy human! How dare you touch the Divine Hammer with your unworthy hands? His outrage could have fueled a small fire. The beast folk roared, General Ryouga, show him the pride of the beast folk. Take back our honor. Ryouga's glare was practically boiling. I don't know what cheap trick you pulled to survive divine punishment and lift that hammer, but you'd better return it now and prepare for your end. Just as Tsuyoshi was deciding whether to try bluffing or just keep holding on for dear life, a notification popped up. Notification, passive skill, Divine Eye activated. Use Divine Eye to see detailed information on any item or opponent by focusing. Cooldown, 0 seconds. Divine Eye? Tsuyoshi thought, feeling curious. He focused it on Ryouga, and a window appeared. Name, Ryouga. Title, General Level, 84. Occupation, Beastman Warrior Weapon, Great Sword, Grade A. Zimbato. Tsuyoshi's eyes widened. Wait, Divine Eye lets me see my opponent's stats? He tried to keep a straight face, but couldn't resist thinking, alright system, maybe you're not so bad after all. Ryouga unsheathed his massive sword, its gleaming blade sending a chill down Tsuyoshi's spine. You pathetic human. Do you really dare to challenge me? Ryouga sneered. I'll make sure your death is swift. In a panic, Tsuyoshi stammered, wait, it's a misunderstanding. His mind raced, no way. I'm fighting a level 84 warrior. Ignoring him, Ryouga raised his sword high. Silence, he roared. Take this. Tsuyoshi closed his eyes, holding the divine hammer in front of him. Listen to me, please, he pleaded, trying to sound less like a terrified mouse. The beast girl couldn't take her eyes off Tsuyoshi. She thought to herself, the human is done for. General Ryouga is a force of nature, one of the Beast King's 5 great generals. Even a fellow beastman would struggle against him. A single blow would be enough to obliterate a human. She couldn't help but snicker under her breath. Hope this guy has some kind of secret plot armor. As Ryouga's massive sword crashed down on Tsuyoshi, a deafening explosion erupted, sending a shockwave through the air. Dust flew everywhere, blocking the view. When it cleared, Tsuyoshi was still standing, gripping the divine hammer like a man trying to hold on to his last piece of pizza. He had blocked the blow, barely. Inside his mind, Tsuyoshi marveled, I actually blocked it. His arms were numb. His body felt like it was about to fall apart, but the hammer was like that one friend who refuses to let you down. This thing is solid. Ryouga's eyes widened for a split second, his brain trying to process what had just happened. He blocked my strike? This human is still standing? You're lucky that hammer saved your life, Ryouga growled, his voice dripping with disdain. But next time it won't. Tsuyoshi, breathing raggedly, tried to explain in a tone that was almost begging. I'm telling you, it's a misunderstanding. I'm not even supposed to be here. I'm just trying to make it back home. To my sister. He paused, looking up at Ryouga with wide eyes. I swear, I don't even know how I picked up this hammer. Ryouga's sneer deepened, but then he narrowed his eyes. Without another word, the general lunged forward, his massive hand reaching for Tsuyoshi like a hungry bear pawing at the last cookie on the table. Enough talk, human. Ryouga snarled, his fingers closing around Tsuyoshi's torso. Ryouga lifted Tsuyoshi effortlessly, his grip like a steel vise. Gotcha, he thought, a cruel grin spreading across his face. I'll toss him into the sky and finish this with earthquake smash. That'll teach this puny human not to mess with me. Ryouga swung Tsuyoshi up and hurled him high into the air. Tsuyoshi's world spun as he hurtled upward like a ragdoll, gravity playing its usual cruel game. But as he ascended, a system notification suddenly popped up right in his face. Notification. Active skill. Absolute replication activated. Usage. Sense opponent's heart with your hand and choose one skill to replicate. Cooldown. 0 seconds. Note. Only one skill can be stored at a time. Replicating a new skill will replace the previous. Tsuyoshi blinked. Wait, what? I can steal his skill? He quickly read through the message. I need to touch his chest. If I can just get close enough. As he began his descent, Tsuyoshi flailed a bit, awkwardly twisting his body to face Ryouga. With an impressive display of mid-air clumsiness, he extended his hand toward the general's chest. In the most uncoordinated, unheroic moment of his life, he managed to brush his fingers across Ryouga's chest just as he flew by. The system chimed triumphantly. Skill replication complete. Heaven Seeker fully replicated. Meanwhile, Ryouga was still in the middle of processing the fact that a human was flying through the air like a confused pigeon. But now, his anger was more than just a simmer. He was officially done. You miserable insect! Ryouga bellowed, shaking his fist like a disappointed father scolding a child. "What did you do to me, human?" Tsuyoshi, now back on the ground, staggered to his feet, clutching the divine hammer. His arms were shaking, and his head was spinning, but there was a fire in his eyes, or maybe that was just the adrenaline. Either way, he was ready. His grip tightened around the divine hammer, his last hope. He swung it forward with all his might, summoning his borrowed power. Heaven's Seeker. As the hammer collided with Ryouga's sword, a violent explosion rocked the entire arena. The force of the impact sent dust and debris flying in all directions, turning the battlefield into a cloud of chaos. The beast folk stumbled back, eyes wide with disbelief, as the dust slowly settled. When the smoke cleared, Ryouga's jaw hung open in shock. Impossible! How can he use my technique? His mind raced, unable to process what had just happened. Ryouga stood there, unfazed, not a scratch on him. He looked himself over, utterly perplexed. What? It didn't hurt at all. It actually felt pleasant. He muttered to himself, as if trying to figure out whether he was dealing with a joke or a nightmare. Just as Tsuyoshi was about to lose all hope, a notification popped up before him. Notification. Due to being level 3 without a profession and unable to properly wield a weapon, no damage was inflicted on the opponent. Improve your abilities to increase effectiveness. Tsuyoshi's shoulders drooped in defeat. Are you kidding me? All that effort, and it didn't even scratch him? Ryouga, finally snapping out of his confusion, scowled furiously. You filthy human! You dare humiliate me like this, he bellowed, raising his sword once more, fury radiating from every pore. Tsuyoshi froze, unable to react in time, the full weight of his failure crashing down on him. But just before Ryouga's sword could descend upon him, a booming voice echoed across the arena, stopping the strike in its tracks. That's enough! The crowd was abuzz with whispers and gasps, sending ripples of energy through the air. Tsuyoshi, still dazed and blinking away the dust, could barely comprehend what was happening. He instinctively raised his arm to shield himself from the shockwave created by the Beast King's arrival. When the dust cleared, Tsuyoshi's eyes widened as he saw the Beast King kneeling before him, a move so unheard of that the entire arena seemed to collectively hold its breath. The beast folk were in disbelief. The Beast King kneeling? Whispers spread like wildfire, each beast folk exchanging bewildered glances, causing Tsuyoshi to flinch slightly under the intensity. It seems you have truly been chosen by the divine hammer, the Beast King said solemnly, his deep voice resonating through the arena. Tsuyoshi blinked, his mind still spinning. Chosen? What does that even mean? The Beast King turned to address the crowd, his voice rising with pride. For centuries, none have been able to lift the hammer, not even the greatest among us. Yet, today, this human has done what no beastman could. Tsuyoshi could only stare, his mouth dry. What? What's happening? His grip tightened around the hammer. The Beast King raised his arm toward the heavens, his other hand sweeping toward Tsuyoshi with pride, his gaze never leaving him. If he is truly chosen to be the future leader of the beastmen, then he must be allowed time to grow. The crowd shifted, and whispers filled the air. One voice cut through the murmurs. But isn't there a prophecy about this? Another beastman scoffed. He's not even one of us. He's a human. Just as the tension was about to rise again, General Ryouga stepped forward, raising his hand. His eyes were filled with defiance, his voice low but firm. But Beast King, this man is human. The Beast King shot Ryouga a piercing, irritated look. And what of it? Did the prophecy specify that our leader must be a beastman? Are you suggesting we ignore the one who may bring hope to our people? Ryouga's defiance faltered as he nervously clasped his hands, bowing his head. His voice trembled with a mix of respect and disbelief. It would be unthinkable. But still, the prophecy didn't specify. If he's not a beastman, then enough, the Beast King interrupted, his voice brooking no further argument. He turned to Tsuyoshi, his gaze sharp as ever. Boy, what is your name? Tsuyoshi straightened his posture, suddenly very aware of the Beast King's overwhelming presence. Tsuyoshi Tsukijo. The Beast King nodded slowly, eyes studying him with an unreadable expression. If you are willing to shoulder the future of our people, then I will grant you freedom. However, he said, his tone growing more serious, you are far too weak as you are now. Suddenly, A blue flame ignited in the Beast King's palm, casting an eerie glow over the entire arena. It flickered with strange energy, sending a chill through the air. When the time comes, the Beast King continued, we'll see if you are worthy of being our leader. Without further warning, the Beast King pressed his glowing hand to Tsuyoshi's forehead, and Tsuyoshi felt a strange, tingling sensation run through him. The blue light seemed to seep into his very mind, burning a mark into his consciousness. This is a mental mark, the Beast King said solemnly, stepping back. If you do not return within 1 year, I will use it to find you, wherever you may be, and end you. Tsuyoshi touched his forehead, feeling the heat of the mental mark. His mind raced, overwhelmed by the gravity of the decision he had just made. This wasn't just about surviving. It was about carrying the hopes of an entire people on his shoulders. As he looked at the Beast King, Tsuyoshi knew one thing for sure. He had just made a promise he wasn't sure he could keep, but he would have to try. The crowd held their breath, waiting for Tsuyoshi's response. He could feel the weight of their gazes on him, and his mind raced with the gravity of the decision. Just as he opened his mouth, a voice broke through the tension. "Accept it," shouted the beast woman Tsuyoshi had noticed earlier. Her fierce, encouraging expression caught him off guard, and her words echoed in the vast arena. "Take this chance, gain your freedom, and grow stronger." Tsuyoshi looked at her, noticing the fire in her eyes. He was intrigued by her intense gaze, but even more so by the gratitude and determination that seemed to emanate from her. Curious, he thought, let's see who this girl really is. Focusing, Tsuyoshi activated his Divine Eye skill, and the information about the beast woman appeared in his mind. Name: unknown title, warrior level, 72 occupation, beastman warrior weapon. Dagger user. Tsuyoshi's eyes widened slightly. Level 72? He was surprised at how powerful she was. But why is she marked as a criminal? The beast woman noticed his gaze and gave him a grin that was a mix of mischief and encouragement. It's better to be alive than to throw away the chance given by the gods. Don't waste it. Just then, the scene took a strange turn. As Tsuyoshi glanced down, the camera or whatever was observing seemed to focus on the beast woman's legs, her beautiful, well-defined figure, and well, let's just say the melon she was carrying in front. Tsuyoshi's face flushed slightly, his eyes inadvertently darting away before he could stop himself. But with a smirk, he raised his hand in a casual wave. "Thanks," he said a little too casually, his mind trying to refocus on the bigger picture. Indeed, this is a miracle, Tsuyoshi thought. First, I need to survive. After that, I'll figure out a way back to my world. The path ahead was uncertain, but he knew one thing for sure: he wasn't backing down. With a deep breath, he looked up at the Beast King and spoke with new resolve. "All right, I'll take your offer, but I have one condition." The Beast King raised an eyebrow, clearly taken aback by Tsuyoshi's boldness. "A condition?" he asked, his tone skeptical but curious. The entire arena seemed to hold its breath, eager to hear what the human would demand. Tsuyoshi pointed confidently at the beast girl in the crowd. "She comes with me. She might be useful." The beast girl's face twisted in confusion, her eyes flickering between disbelief and what could almost be considered flattery. She blinked, caught off guard. "Me?" She looked like she'd just been handed a puzzling riddle, her expression a mix of confusion and something else, something Tsuyoshi couldn't quite place. She even looked a little pleased. Tsuyoshi cracked a small, confident grin. "Guess we're even now, no debt owed." Later that night, Tsuyoshi stood outside the gates of the Beastfolk village, bathed in the soft glow of moonlight. He gazed down at the strange ring on his finger, lost in thought. "From that voice I heard, it seems everything began with this boundless ring. He tried twisting it off, but it wouldn't budge. Thanks to this ring, I've gained these strange abilities. But how am I supposed to get back to my original world?" "Master, preparations are complete," a voice called from behind, snapping him out of his thoughts. He turned around to see the beast girl approaching, her expression serious and focused. "Master?" She gave him a soft, almost reverent look. "Yes, I've decided to serve my savior." Tsuyoshi's face lit up like a Christmas tree. He froze for a moment, eyes widening. Then he proceeded to make the world's most ridiculous face, half shock, half joy, with a dash of "I can't believe this is happening to me." His brain screamed in the background. To be called master by a cute beast-eared girl. This is just irresistible. Trying to play it cool, Tsuyoshi forced a chuckle but it came out sounding more like a squeak. "Yuya, no big deal," he stammered, scratching the back of his head awkwardly. Act cool, don't mess this up now." His mind was racing, but his heart was doing flips. "Let's just get going then," he muttered, hoping she wouldn't notice the ridiculous grin he was desperately trying to hide. He rubbed the back of his neck awkwardly. "It's nothing much. Your words help me too. From now on, we'll support each other. As for calling me master, or, serving me, that's—" Before he could finish, the girl stepped closer, her cheeks flushing a deep shade of red. She looked up at him with an expression that was a mix of awe and gratitude. "You don't understand how much that means to me. Master, you've given me a second chance. No one has ever seen me like this, or thought of me so straightforwardly. Except you." With a shy smile, she reached up and took his hand, pulling it gently toward her chest. Her voice trembled as she spoke. "Your appearance. It's a miracle for me. I want to dedicate everything to you, Master." Tsuyoshi's mind temporarily short-circuited. He blinked rapidly, unable to process how quickly this was all happening. "Wait, hold on. This is getting a little intense." Trying to regain his composure, he glanced up at the sky, nervously clearing his throat. Suddenly, the beast girl turned and looked back at Tsuyoshi with a playful glint in her eyes. "Shall we be on our way?" "It's getting late," she said, taking a few steps ahead. Then, with a teasing smile, she glanced over her shoulder and reminded him, "Watch your steps." Tsuyoshi let out a sigh, relieved by the sudden change in pace. He slid one hand into his pocket, taking in the vast, almost surreal landscape bathed in the soft glow of the moon. What an amazing otherworld, he thought, his gaze drifting over the unfamiliar terrain. The beauty of it all left him momentarily entranced. But then, a sharp pang of reality snapped him back. "No, what am I doing? Karina is waiting for me back home." He couldn't afford to get lost in the wonders of this world. His mission was clear. Just as those thoughts settled in, a familiar chime rang in his mind, and a system notification appeared. Notification: the Boundless Pass is now available for use. Please note that the cooldown is 24 hours. Looking down at his finger, Tsuyoshi noticed the dull glow of the ring, a faint golden shimmer. "That's right. This ring brought me here," he reminded himself. "If I can use it again, maybe I can return to my world." With renewed determination, he raised his hand, focusing on the ring. "Open Boundless Pass," he commanded, unsure but hopeful. Suddenly, a brilliant golden light enveloped him, spiraling around him like a whirlwind. It tugged at him with the same familiar force he had experienced when he first arrived. His heart raced with anticipation. This is it, he thought, his mind reeling with excitement. "I can finally go home." From a distance, the beast girl, noticing the swirling light, looked back at him in confusion. She called out, "Master," her voice carrying through the quiet night as she reached out toward him, but it was too late. The golden light surged around Tsuyoshi, and in a flash, he was swept away. The world around him blurred, and all that remained was the soft moonlight and the distant silhouette of the beast girl, frozen in the moment. And then, there was nothing but silence. In a rush of light, Tsuyoshi felt himself hurtling back through the boundaries of space and time, his body aching from the familiar sensation. The world around him twisted and bent before he finally stumbled forward, gasping for breath. The air was cool, but familiar, and as he looked around, the ground beneath his feet felt solid once more. "Am I back?" he thought, his heart racing. He took a deep breath, almost afraid to believe it. He quickly checked his status window, holding his hands together as if in prayer. Whispering under his breath, he muttered, "I did it. And my abilities, they're still here." The status window displayed: level 3 occupation, none weapon, none skill, none replicated skills, none divine consciousness inventory. Divine hammer, he raised an eyebrow. The divine hammer. It's still in there? Just then, another notification blinked across his vision. Notification: personal stats are shared across both worlds, but items are not. To use items from the other world, they must be placed in the divine consciousness inventory beforehand. Tsuyoshi sighed, placing a hand on the helmet still perched on his head. "So, since levels are shared, I can level up in either world, huh?" He scratched his chin, staring at the divine hammer in his inventory. "Guess I managed to bring this thing over because it was in the divine consciousness inventory." He paused, a thought suddenly dawning on him. Wait a second. Does this mean I'm still at level 3 here too? Before he could process this further, a voice echoed from above the well, cutting through his thoughts. What's all the commotion down there? Hurry up before the cave collapses. One of his teammates shouted, clearly annoyed. Tsuyoshi looked up, momentarily confused. Why are you all still hanging around? Old man, I've been gone for hours, he called back. But as the words left his mouth, something felt off. Tsuyoshi's brow furrowed as he climbed up the rope, his thoughts racing. What's going on? He thought, trying to make sense of the strange situation. I spent at least 5 hours in the other world. Something isn't right. From above, the team leader's voice broke through his thoughts. You've been here all along alone. Good thing I came back to get you. Now hurry up and get out of there. Another teammate added, don't dawdle. Once the cave closes, you'll be trapped in there forever. Tsuyoshi grabbed the rope, climbing with urgency. So that's it. He realized time must have been frozen here while I was in the other world. His mind spun as the implications sank in. Was time here completely still? His eyes widened. This is just like something straight out of a manga. When he finally emerged from the well, Tsuyoshi took a deep breath, looking around at his teammates, his heart still racing. Could it be that time is also frozen in that other world now? He couldn't help but wonder who the original owner of this boundless ring was, and how this strange phenomenon worked. The team leader stood at the top of the well, his arms crossed. Tsuyoshi offered a grin, feeling a sense of relief at being back. Right, old man? The team leader raised an eyebrow. What is it? Tsuyoshi chuckled, his mind momentarily distracted by his memories of the other world. With a playful smile, he replied, the next test is tomorrow, right? But as he spoke, something shifted within him. The playful tone faded, and his thoughts drifted back to the horrifying day when everything had changed. The first gate had opened, and their world had been thrown into chaos. Blood trickled down his forehead, a rough bandage clinging to his cheek as he sprinted through the streets, his sister unconscious on his back. Her breathing was shallow, and her body was cold to the touch. Nearby, an overturned police car blared a piercing siren, a symbol of the destruction that had followed the opening of the gate. Towering above them, a massive monster was smashing buildings like a toddler on a sugar rush with a stack of blocks. Its shadow loomed over everything like it was out to prove it was the king of hide-and-seek, and, spoiler alert, it was winning. From behind him, Tsuyoshi heard a tiny, frail voice. Big brother, I can't feel my legs. His little sister, Karina, whispered like she was trying not to scare away a butterfly, which was an unfortunate choice given that a giant monster was terrorizing the city. Her words filled him with dread, but he kept sprinting, eyes burning with a fierce red glow, like he'd just downed a double shot of hot sauce instead of adrenaline. Then, she whispered again, almost as if she was asking him to pick up milk on the way home. Are Mom and Dad okay? Before he could answer, boom, a huge explosion tore through the street. He stumbled, clutching Karina like she was his phone, and he'd just dropped it without a case. This cannot be happening, he thought, like some guy in a disaster movie who really thought he'd be the one to survive. He called out for his parents, his voice cracking in a way that would have been embarrassing if everyone else wasn't also screaming. As he staggered through the wreckage, the cries of people echoed around him, blending into what sounded suspiciously like a very apocalyptic remix. Then, suddenly, a hand grabbed his shoulder. Tsuyoshi! Uncle Nakazato's grip was firm, his face grim. If you stop, you'll die. Keep moving, the man said, dragging Tsuyoshi back into action. Tears stung Tsuyoshi's eyes as he cried out, Uncle Nakazato. Mom and Dad, they're still at the house. Uncle Nakazato didn't hesitate, shaking his head firmly. Don't look back. You and Karina need to survive. The darkness will consume you too if you stop. He glanced toward the massive creature wreaking havoc behind them. We need to get Karina to a hospital quickly. The memory blurred, yanking Tsuyoshi back into the present. He stood beside Karina, who sat in her wheelchair, gazing up at him with eyes full of worry. Big brother, she asked softly, are you really going to retake the awakening test tomorrow? Are you sure you're okay? You just got back from work. Across the room, a nurse tidied up, her cheerful smile as unwavering as a motivational poster. You're always so thoughtful, Karina. Make sure you rest too. Tsuyoshi scratched the back of his head, giving his best, I totally have it together grin. I'm fine, really. How about you, Karina? Do your legs still hurt? Karina's gaze dropped to her lap, her cheeks flushing pink. I can't walk anymore, but I'm used to the pain by now, she murmured, her voice wobbling like a poorly balanced chair. Tsuyoshi's fists clenched, his heart doing an impression of a trash compactor. Karina's really suffering, isn't she? He thought, the weight of their past settling over him like a bad weather report. And because life loved its timing, a system notification dinged in his vision. Divine Eye activated. Target bodily information. Both legs trapped under a collapsed building. 98% of nerve cells necrotized. Condition includes intermittent nerve pain. Recovery probability, 1%. Tsuyoshi stared at the message like it owed him money, his gaze shifting back to Karina in her wheelchair. A 1% chance of walking again? Great. What am I supposed to do? Gamble with reality. His mind wandered, conjuring a highlight reel of all the things she should have been doing, going to school, laughing with friends, living her best life. Instead, here they were. Him, trying to ace a test designed to kill half its participants, and her, stuck enduring a cruel hand life had dealt. Karina's my only family. I can't bear to see her suffer, he thought, determined to keep his hopeless poker face in check. Determined, Tsuyoshi made a silent promise. Even if the odds are close to zero, I'll do whatever it takes to help her stand on her own again. The scene shifted to Tsuyoshi walking alone through the city, the night air crisp enough to remind him he forgot a scarf. He clenched his fist as thoughts fired like motivational posters in his brain. As long as there's even a 1% chance, there's hope. There must be a way. If I rise as a hero, I might gain knowledge or powers that could heal her. With newfound determination gleaming brighter than the streetlights, Tsuyoshi stopped abruptly in the middle of the sidewalk. He raised his hand toward the night sky, his ring catching the moonlight like he was about to propose to fate itself. It's not just about healing Karina, he declared to absolutely no one. I want to live my life with pride. That's why I'm going to become a hero, the strongest hero there is. A few late-night passers-by slowed their pace, stealing wary glances at the young man dramatically monologuing under the moonlight. One muttered, "Is he okay?" Another replied, "Too much anime." But Tsuyoshi didn't care. His goal was clear, and nothing, especially not awkward stares, was going to stop him. The next day, at the BTG Awakening test site, a boy emerged from the testing chamber, looking as smug as a cat that just knocked over a vase. Measurement result. Level 3, Combat Power 540, the tester announced monotone. The glasses-wearing employee handed the boy an emblem, his expression suggesting he'd done this 300 times today. Please accept the hero's emblem, customized based on your test result. The boy's chest puffed out as he exclaimed, "I'm finally a hero." His proud mother clapped him on the shoulder, already making dinner plans. "That's my boy. We'll throw a big feast tonight. Aim for that C rank." Meanwhile, the glasses-wearing employee glanced at the next name on the list and adjusted his frames with the enthusiasm of someone forced to work overtime. Next up, Tsuyoshi Tsukishiro, taking the test after failing the first time. His tone carried just the right amount of shade to let the room know what he thought. Fixing Tsuyoshi with a skeptical look, he added, "When you're ready, step inside and place your hand on the measurement device. Though, I doubt it'll be any different from last time." Tsuyoshi, clad in a military uniform and sporting a cheek bandage that screamed serious business, strode confidently into the room. "We'll see soon enough if this is a waste of time," he said, brushing off the employee's doubtful glance like it was a pesky fly. The glasses-wearing employee, clearly committed to his job as chief doubter, chimed in, "Most who fail once usually have the same result every time. This device measures from all angles, after all." Tsuyoshi didn't bother with a response, already focused on his goal. He walked through the doors to the blue-lit chamber, the red-lit camera scanning him ominously, as if preparing to judge his soul. The last guy was level 3 with a combat power of 540, pretty standard, he thought, sizing up the challenge. "Let's see how I stack up." He placed his hand on the device, the screen promptly displaying level 3. All right, he thought, I should qualify as a hero too, but how high will my combat power be? With a deep breath, he activated his skill, Ultimate Physique, and veins bulged across his hand like his muscles were auditioning for an action movie. Suddenly, an intense wave of energy surged through the room, shaking the building so hard it felt like the entire foundation was reconsidering its life choices. The glasses-wearing employee stumbled. "An earthquake?" he muttered, his voice teetering between shock and mild panic. The device didn't just react, it exploded into sparks and lightning, clearly having an existential crisis over what it just measured. When the dust settled, the screen flashed the final reading. Combat power, 5400. The system's mechanical voice boomed. Measurement result. Level 3, combat power 5400. New record for level 3 heroes. Previous highest, 930. Tsuyoshi's eyes widened as the number sank in. 5400. 10 times the last guy's combat power? He thought, staring at the screen in disbelief. I knew I'd improved, but this? He glanced at his hand, flexing it with a satisfied smirk. All according to plan. Turning toward the exit with confidence practically radiating off him, he thought, I'll aim for the top. Just then, a thought struck Tsuyoshi. I wonder about the power of the Divine King Hammer. Summoning it into his hand, a system notification promptly ruined the moment. Due to insufficient level and unmet conditions, the Divine King Hammer's full potential cannot be unlocked. Forced activation will consume immense energy. Duration of release, 1 second. Tsuyoshi examined the hammer, its ominous lightning crackling like it was auditioning for a heavy metal album cover. He smirked. So, in my current state, I can only manage 1 second. Fine by me. 1 second should be enough to gauge its power. Gripping the hammer in one hand and placing his other hand on the measuring device, Tsuyoshi's eyes glowed with anticipation. All right, let's give it a shot, he murmured, practically daring the universe to stop him. The system notification wasted no time. The power of Divine King Hammer has been unleashed. Duration of release, 1 second. Suddenly, Tsuyoshi felt an explosion of pain, as though the hammer was draining his very soul. His inner monologue screamed, my entire strength. Gone in a flash. The hammer responded by lighting up like a thunderstorm on steroids, and the device began to spark and sizzle in protest. Through gritted teeth, Tsuyoshi strained, veins popping like his body was staging a revolt. Hurry up and measure it. Tell me how much my combat power has increased, he shouted, practically wrestling the hammer for dominance. Outside, the situation escalated to full-blown disaster movie. The sky roared, lightning spiraled like dragons on a joyride, and crackling bolts hurled themselves toward the city. Panicked citizens pointed upwards, screaming, "What's going on?" An earthquake, while others ducked for cover as the ground shook with a vengeance. One particularly baffled man shouted, "Who angered the gods this time?" Unaware of the chaos outside, Tsuyoshi pushed through the agony, his mind laser-focused on one thing. How strong am I now? Back in the test chamber, the device went into full meltdown mode. Warning, energy overload, unable to measure. Sparks flew like the machine was trying to invent fireworks, and then poof, the lights cut out. The room plunged into darkness, followed by an eerie silence, as if the building had just given up. In a panicked rush, the glasses-wearing employee burst into the room, flinging the door open like it was the end of the world. Due to the blackout, the test has been suspended. Evacuate immediately, he shouted, but his eyes then landed on Tsuyoshi, who looked like he'd just fought a battle and lost. Miserably, the man stared at Tsuyoshi, who was barely standing, panting like he'd run a marathon. He stammered wide-eyed, "Who are you?" A while later, Tsuyoshi was seen trudging through the building's corridors, rubbing his head like he was trying to massage away the trauma. I really underestimated it, he thought to himself, still processing the fact that he'd just drained every ounce of his energy in 1 second. Should have avoided using the Divine King Hammer until I'm stronger. Then, a grin crept across his face. His eyes lit up like he'd just won the lottery. Laughing with uncontainable joy, he bounced around in excitement. At least I'm officially a hero now. Some time later, in the training grounds, a group of trainees stood nervously as they awaited their instructor. Enter Gaia, a tall, long-haired man in golden armor, looking like he just stepped out of an ancient epic. I am Gaia, the hero responsible for your training, he said, voice booming. The instruction will be tough, but you'll need to keep up. Tsuyoshi, ever the overachiever, activated his skill to assess Gaia's information. Name, Gaia. Level, 9. Occupation, warrior. Combat power, 1200. Tsuyoshi's face scrunched up like he just tasted something sour. Only 1200 combat power at level 9? He thought. I wonder how much my combat power will be when I reach that level. Gaia, however, seemed far less impressed by the whole situation. In fact, he looked downright annoyed, probably regretting his career choice. Being put in charge of rookie training? I'd rather be out exploring a D-rank dungeon than doing this, he thought, eyes narrowing as he glanced at the trainees. He raised his voice, attempting to muster some enthusiasm. You will all be entering a D-rank dungeon tomorrow. After some field experience, you'll determine which occupation suits you best. Expect even lower-level item drops, he said, with the enthusiasm of someone explaining why they need to clean the bathroom. The trainees gasped, their collective enthusiasm cratering. One of them blurted out, "We're going into a dungeon already." Another trainee, already sweating buckets, added with a tremor in his voice, "Isn't there supposed to be a week of basic physical training first?" A third trainee, probably wondering why he signed up for this madness, chimed in, "Shouldn't we decide on our occupation before entering the dungeon?" Gaia, who was already over the entire situation, scowled and shot them down like they were asking if they could take a nap instead. Basic physical training? We don't have time for that. Now that you're heroes, you'll hone your skills through real combat. That's how I do things. If you can't keep up, then leave. Understood? The trainees, clearly rethinking their life choices, replied in unison, "Yes, sir," like a chorus of people who just realized they might have made a mistake. Tsuyoshi watched this with a smirk, thinking, this guy's just taking out his frustration on us. In the end, a hero is still human. Then his thoughts wandered to the past. He remembered the beast girl who had once taken his hand and held it close to her chest, and a faint blush crept onto his face. After all, I've got a level 72 beast girl waiting for me. Once the cooldown for Boundless Pass is over, I'll head back to the other world. Later that night, Tsuyoshi was sitting in his apartment, the daily news droning on in the background like a lullaby for people who still cared about the news. The reporter's voice filled the quiet room. Due to the earthquake that occurred around 7 p.m. tonight, a power outage has affected some areas of the city. Fortunately, no injuries have been reported. The Hero Union is already taking steps to resolve the situation. Tsuyoshi's eyes narrowed, his focus sharpening. All right, now that the cooldown for the portal has ended, it's time to head back to the other world. A spark of excitement flickered in his eyes. I'll grow stronger there, choose my occupation, and gather all the equipment I need. He muttered aloud, I need to open the boundless passage. The ring on his finger began to glow with a golden light, as though it was ready to give him a grand magical entrance. Tsuyoshi felt the familiar energy engulf him, his eyes narrowing in anticipation as the world around him warped. In the blink of an eye, he was transported back to the other world, ready for whatever bizarre adventure awaited him next. The bright moon hung in the sky, and Tsuyoshi couldn't help but smile as he gazed up, feeling a sense of nostalgia wash over him. So, I'm back here again, he murmured, clearly pleased with himself. Sitting on the ground, he sighed, taking in the familiar scenery. Everything's the same as before. Even my clothes are back to how they were the first time. A frustrated look crossed his face. Great. So when you leave this world, both time and equipment revert to their original state. What a hassle. Lost in thought, Tsuyoshi didn't notice the approaching figure until it was way too late. Master, is something the matter? The beast girl suddenly appeared in front of him, her melon-sized chest dangerously close to his face. Tsuyoshi froze, eyes wide. Oh, right. I almost forgot about this. His heart skipped a beat. This is the part where I look like an idiot again, isn't it? Tsuyoshi quickly recovered, trying to hide his panic with a nervous laugh. Rubbing the back of his head, he said, No, it's nothing. Anyway, let's get to leveling up. Lead the way. The beast girl beamed, raising one hand dramatically toward the sky while making a fist with the other. I'm so glad to see you're eager, master. But then, her expression shifted to one of seriousness. There's a level 3 goblin nest nearby. They may only be level 3, but those goblins are cunning, lecherous, and numerous. You must stay vigilant. Tsuyoshi blinked, completely confused. Lecherous? Why does that sound like a problem for her? Noticing his puzzled look, the beast girl seemed just as perplexed. Tsuyoshi quickly shook himself out of it, thinking, all right, goblins. This is starting to feel like a real fantasy world. His lips curled into a grin, thinking of a character from Naruto. All right, it's settled. The target is the goblins. The beast girl's face lit up as she jumped with excitement, making an adorable puppy-like gesture with her fist held high in the air. Let's go, master, she cheered. Tsuyoshi grinned widely, feeling a surge of excitement. This is what I've been waiting for. In front of the goblin cave, Tsuyoshi and the beast girl crouched in the bushes, peeking at the goblin sentries lurking at the entrance. The beast girl leaned in, whispering, Be careful not to wake the goblin sentries. Tsuyoshi smirked. You're level 72. You should be able to take them out no problem, right? He couldn't help but marvel at her stats. Her combat power is 630,000. That's insane. Just what I'd expect from a level 72. The beast girl blushed slightly, clutching her melons shyly as she gave him a curious look. How do you know my level? With a confident grin, Tsuyoshi shrugged. I'm not your master for nothing, you know. Anyway, could you show me how a high-level hero fights? She hesitated. If I fight alongside you, you won't earn any experience points. The level difference is too great. Tsuyoshi scratched his head. Oh, so there are rules like that? I just wanted to see you in action. Blushing, the beast girl replied. You're flattering me. But if you insist, I'll give it a shot. She drew her knife, her eyes gleaming with determination. Watch closely. In a flash, she vanished from his side, reappearing in front of the goblins. Her blade sliced through the air in an effortless blur as she took them down with her instant step slash. Tsuyoshi stood there, wide-eyed, and couldn't help but clap. Whoa! That's the movement of a level 72 warrior. So cool. The beast girl turned with a smile, her eyes sparkling. You're too kind. I always give my all, even against low-level opponents. I hope that was helpful. Tsuyoshi's eyes practically sparkled with excitement. It was incredible. By the way, could you teach me that move? She hesitated, raising an eyebrow. Instant step slash is a skill for high-level warriors. It's not really something you can learn yet. Besides, you haven't even decided on an occupation, have you? Tsuyoshi chuckled, a mischievous glint in his eye. In that case, I'll become a warrior too. I mean, with you as my personal trainer, I'll be unstoppable. He thought to himself, with a level 72 warrior by my side, I'll have no problem picking up all the cool moves. But first, I need a weapon, something that doesn't require a heroic divine king hammer. A system notification popped up. Notification: you have switched to warrior. Occupation status updated. Tsuyoshi Tsukishiro, level 3, warrior, combat power, 5400. Weapon: divine king hammer. The beast girl's expression softened, and she gently took his hand, holding it close to her chest. She gazed at him with a hint of affection. You chose to become a warrior because of me. I'll make sure to be of use. Her cheeks flushed slightly. I'll do my best to support you in leveling up. First, let's gather some equipment for warriors. Tsuyoshi's face turned bright red as he felt her hand in his, a goofy grin spreading across his face. What kind of world is this? He thought, his cheeks burning even more. But just as things were getting a little too comfortable, a goblin's voice rang out. Hey, it's time for a shift change. One of the goblins noticed the downed sentries and froze, staring at Tsuyoshi and the beast girl. An intruder! Tsuyoshi turned with a smirk, feeling the rush of excitement. Looks like I'll handle this guy on my own. With a confident step forward, he glanced at the beast girl. Lend me a dagger. There's something I want to try. A system notification immediately popped up. Notification: Silver Dragon Dagger borrowed. The beast girl's eyes widened in concern. Master, engaging an enemy of the same level head-on might be. But before she could finish, Tsuyoshi had already lunged toward the goblin, his thoughts racing. I haven't fully tested the power of Heaven Sucker yet. These goblins will be my guinea pigs. As Tsuyoshi charged at the goblin with the borrowed dagger, he couldn't help but feel the thrill of his new power. This would be the perfect opportunity to see what his warrior abilities and his untested skills could do in action. Tsuyoshi's heart raced as he soared through the air, his dagger aimed at the goblin below. The creature's red bar displayed level 3, combat power, 420, but Tsuyoshi's confidence never wavered. With a swift, clean slash, he released a wave of energy from the silver dragon dagger. The force of the strike cleaved through the goblin and its companion in an instant, both monsters collapsing to the ground in defeat. The beast girl, watching in awe, thought to herself, to defeat goblins of the same level so effortlessly. Even a party of 6 would struggle with that. Tsuyoshi landed smoothly, his grin wide as he turned to face the remaining goblins. This seems surprisingly easy. I'll wipe out the rest of these goblins. His voice rang with pride as the surge of experience points filled his system. His thoughts raced. The divine selection system is fascinating. I'll reach level 4 by the end of the night. His status updated before his eyes. Level 3 occupation, warrior weapon, silver dragon skills, none replicate skill, heaven seeker experience, 53,000. Tsuyoshi felt a rush of excitement. Level 3 was just the beginning. If he could defeat enemies this easily now, just imagine the strength he'd have by the time he reached higher levels. Beside him, the beast girl stepped forward hesitantly, her ears drooping as she offered a makeshift weapon with both hands. "I'm sorry for the inconvenience," she said softly, her voice tinged with guilt. "Please use this as a weapon for now." Tsuyoshi barely glanced at her, his eyes scanning the battlefield. Then, something caught his attention, a worn-out wooden stick lying in the dirt. Ignoring her offering, he knelt and picked it up. He turned the battered stick in his hands as if it were a relic from another era. A faint grin tugged at his lips, and his eyes glimmered with mischief. "Don't worry," he said with a quiet confidence, the edge of exhaustion softening his tone. "Even a goblin's stick isn't too bad." As if in response, a crisp system notification appeared before him, its chime echoing in his mind. Level 3 occupation, warrior weapon, worn-out wooden stick replicate skill. Heaven Seeker experience, 53,000. The beast girl furrowed her brows, her concern evident. "Master, we must hurry and gather some basic equipment. Your current gear offers almost no defense." Tsuyoshi nodded faintly, her words resonating with his own thoughts. "She's right. I'm practically walking armorless into death's embrace. Without proper gear, even this stick won't be enough." He paused, his mind wandering back to the mysterious divine consciousness inventory. The memory of its first activation was as vivid as ever. Divine consciousness inventory. A unique dimensional space accessible through one's consciousness, capable of storing items from both worlds. His panel shimmered into view. Current slot count. 3. Tsuyoshi's frown deepened as his gaze lingered on the one occupied slot. The Divine King hammer rested there like an immovable monument, too valuable to discard. Just one free slot. If only I could unlock more space. But how? His eyes flicked to the beast girl. Her gentle demeanor seemed so out of place in this world of bloodshed and chaos. And yet, 5 parts make a full set of equipment. In this world, who knows what wonders lie hidden among the different races? Unconsciously, his gaze lingered a moment too long. Her furred ears twitched nervously as she caught his stare. Her cheeks flushed a delicate pink, and her voice quivered. "Master, is there something on my face?" Startled from his thoughts, Tsuyoshi chuckled awkwardly, rubbing the back of his neck. "No, nothing like that. I was just making sure you're still with me." The warmth of the moment shattered like glass as the beast girl stiffened. Her ears perked up, and her tail bristled. "Master!" she shouted, drawing her short sword in one fluid motion. Her eyes burned with urgency. "Behind you!" Tsuyoshi spun on his heel, his heart dropping into a cold pit. 3 goblins surged toward him, their red glowing health bars glaring ominously above their heads. Goblin level 4. Their guttural snarls filled the air, and each wielded a crude wooden stick similar to his own. But it wasn't the weapon that concerned him. It was the gleam of hunger in their eyes. The goblins cackled, their malicious grins wide and leering. One of them jeered. "Intruder! A woman! He. The beast girl stepped in front of Tsuyoshi without hesitation, her sword gleaming in the dim cave light. Her voice was steady but edged with urgency. "The goblins grow stronger as we go deeper. Stay alert." Tsuyoshi blinked, momentarily caught off guard by her protective stance. But confusion quickly turned into a spark of excitement. His lips curled into a confident grin. "That means the experience points will also increase." Without waiting, Tsuyoshi charged forward, gripping his worn-out wooden stick like a seasoned warrior wielding a legendary weapon. His sudden movement startled the goblins, their mocking expressions shifting to alarm. One goblin sneered, raising its crude weapon. "You reckless fool!" Tsuyoshi met its glare head-on, his voice booming through the cavern. "Take this!" He swung the wooden stick with all his strength. The impact wasn't what anyone expected. A massive explosion of energy erupted from the stick, a blinding light engulfing the goblins. The sheer force obliterated all 3 enemies in an instant, leaving nothing but scorch marks on the ground where they once stood. A chime echoed in Tsuyoshi's mind as a system notification appeared before him. Level 3 occupation, warrior weapon, worn-out wooden stick replicate skill. Heaven Seeker experience, 150-3000. Tsuyoshi examined the stick in his hands, its surface now riddled with cracks. He winced slightly, clutching his wrist, but the grin never left his face. The higher the level of the enemy, the more experience I gain. But this weapon, it's too fragile. The beast girl watched in stunned silence, her eyes wide with awe. Slowly, her fingers tightened around her sword as her heart swelled with admiration. Master's potential is incredible. That blow, with just a wooden stick, he displayed strength that shouldn't be possible at his level. To defeat 3 enemies at once, instantly, despite the level difference. Her face flushed, and she clasped her hands to her chest. That's master for you. Tsuyoshi didn't linger on his victory. With an unshakable determination, he pressed forward into the depths of the goblin cave. The air grew heavier, the flickering shadows growing denser as the enemies became more numerous. Yet, no matter how many goblins appeared or how much their levels rose, Tsuyoshi's explosive power made their efforts futile. Each swing of his stick sent goblins flying, their health bars evaporating in seconds. From behind, the beast girl couldn't contain her excitement. She clapped her hands, her voice rising like a cheerleader's cry at a championship game. "Amazing master!" she exclaimed, her tail wagging with delight. Defeating yet another goblin with a single decisive strike, Tsuyoshi muttered under his breath. "This skill is great, but the weapon is trash." "That's the 6th one already." He exhaled sharply, gripping his battered stick tightly as his gaze swept over the lifeless bodies of the goblins. His breathing began to steady, though his mind was racing. Wow! I never expected the experience bonuses in this world to be so great. I'm getting stronger much faster than I thought. With one final swing, he dispatched the last goblin. The dull thud echoed in the cavern, and for a moment, all was quiet. As Tsuyoshi stood there, a flood of memories filled his mind. Back when I worked as a cleaner, I'd overhear the heroes grumbling. They were always frustrated about leveling up. Fragments of conversations replayed in his head, vivid and bitter. Everything gets taken by the guild, leaving us with nothing. Maybe we should join the guild too. All the dungeons are being fought over. When will we ever level up? Tsuyoshi smirked, his eyes narrowing as he looked down at the fallen goblins around him. But here I can keep all the experience for myself. No guild restrictions, no one to share with, and the monsters grant way more experience than I've ever heard of. This world really is amazing. As if confirming his thoughts, the system chimed again. Experience. 2,100, 3,000. He clenched his fist, his pulse quickening. At this rate, I'll be unstoppable. I'm going straight for the boss. Fueled by confidence, Tsuyoshi pressed deeper into the cave. But that confidence shattered like fragile glass when he reached the cavern's core. The air turned heavy, almost suffocating. The dim light from the cave's moss barely illuminated the monstrous figure that loomed ahead. Tsuyoshi froze, his blood running cold. Slowly, he ducked behind a nearby rock, his hands trembling slightly as he peeked out. The creature's red eyes glowed like smoldering coals, piercing through the darkness with an almost tangible malice. Its towering frame radiated raw, unrelenting power. Tsuyoshi swallowed hard, his throat dry. Is that the goblin boss? Behind him, the beast girl crept closer, her usually composed face marked with fear. Beads of sweat trickled down her temples as she whispered, "Unlucky for us, master. This time, the boss has been possessed by darkness." Her words hit Tsuyoshi like a hammer. He blinked, his mind stuttering. Darkness. There's darkness in this world too? For a moment, his thoughts were paralyzed. His mind raced as he tried to come up with a plan. I can't back down now. But if this thing really is possessed by darkness? A chilling memory surged to the surface, the first time Tsuyoshi encountered a monster in his original world. The shadows of the past loomed large in his mind. In my world, darkness also lurks in the caves. Could it be the same entity? His grip on the worn-out wooden stick tightened as he tried to steady his spiraling thoughts. His heart pounded in his chest, each beat echoing like a drumroll of impending doom. Sensing his distress, the beast girl's voice cut through the tension like a lifeline. "Master," she whispered, her tone laced with caution. "Enemies possessed by darkness are formidable. This boss may only be level 6, but once it's possessed by darkness, its strength becomes exponentially greater." She hesitated before continuing, her expression grim. Darkness doesn't just amplify power, it shrouds its host in mystery, making its next move impossible to predict. That's why she stepped forward, gripping her sword tightly. That's why I will handle this boss myself. Her words pulled Tsuyoshi out of his thoughts, but instead of calming him, they stoked the fire of his rage. His voice trembled with fury as he growled, "No, I will absolutely take it down with my own hands, whether it's now or sometime in the future." His resolve solidified as he glared at the dark goblin boss. "I don't know what connection darkness has across different worlds, but I will kill them all. Every last one of them. I will avenge my family." Fueled by his blazing determination, Tsuyoshi launched himself forward, the worn-out wooden stick clutched tightly in his hand. His voice roared through the cave, shaking the air itself. "I will kill you with my own hands." "Master, wait!" the beast girl cried, her voice thick with panic. But it was too late. The dark goblin boss surged forward to meet him, its grotesque mouth wide open, teeth glinting like daggers in the dim light. The creature's movements were unervingly fast, each step shaking the ground. Tsuyoshi's vision blurred with rage as a name echoed in his mind. "Karina. You ruined Karina's life too." With all his strength, he swung his battered stick, the strike landing solidly on the boss's side. For a brief, fleeting moment, he thought he might have a chance. But the boss retaliated with equal ferocity. Its clawed arm smashed into Tsuyoshi, sending him flying backward like a rag doll. He crashed hard against the ground, the impact knocking the wind out of him. Pain radiated through his body as he lay there, the cave spinning around him. He coughed, struggling to regain his breath, and stared at the ceiling of the cavern. The goblin boss barely flinched, its health bar mocking him with its stubborn resilience. Tsuyoshi's thoughts swirled bitterly. Damn it! The dark goblin boss loomed over Tsuyoshi, its grotesque face twisted into a cruel sneer. Its long, slimy tongue unfurled, dripping with malice as it lunged to deliver the finishing blow. But before it could strike, a gleaming slash of silver cut through the air. The tongue fell to the ground with a sickening splat. The beast girl stood firm, her blade glowing faintly. "Master, your weapon!" she shouted, desperation in her voice. Tsuyoshi lay motionless for a moment, his battered body trembling as he forced himself to rise. Blood trickled from the corner of his mouth, but his eyes burned with unyielding fury. "The one who took my father and mother. The enemy of Karina. No, I refuse to be killed by the likes of you." Suddenly, his eyes flashed with an intense yellow glow, illuminating the cavern. System notification. Ultimate physique activated. Complete. In an instant, Tsuyoshi's body began to transform. His muscles expanded, surging with energy, his form now resembling that of a world-class bodybuilder sculpted from stone. Power coursed through every fiber of his being, the sheer intensity radiating off him like a blazing inferno. He clenched his fists, his voice thunderous as it echoed through the cave. "If I don't have a weapon..." He stepped forward, his gaze locked on the monster. "Then my body will be the weapon." System notification. Enhancement focused on right hand. Immense strain detected. Caution advised. The warning flashed in his mind, but Tsuyoshi brushed it aside, his focus absolute. He charged forward, the ground cracking beneath his feet from the sheer force of his movement. With a mighty roar, he swung his empowered fist, all his rage and determination channeled into the blow. His punch collided with the dark goblin boss, and for a moment, time seemed to freeze. The impact unleashed a devastating shockwave, obliterating the boss in an instant. Ash scattered through the air like smoke, the monstrous figure erased from existence. Breathing heavily, Tsuyoshi stood amidst the destruction, cradling his throbbing right hand. His body ached, and his heart raced, but his resolve burned brighter than ever. He glared at the ground where the monster once stood, his voice low but resolute. "I will kill all the darkness," he vowed, each word dripping with conviction. System notification. Level up. Level. For occupation. Warrior weapon. None skills. None replicate skill. Evan Shaker as the adrenaline drained from his body. Tsuyoshi glanced down at his trembling right hand, a smirk tugging at the corner of his lips despite the searing pain. "Even my own body can't keep up with his power," he thought, a mix of pride and self-awareness flickering in his expression. The beast girl rushed to his side, her voice thick with concern. "Master, your arm, it looks terrible." He tried to wave her off, but winced as sharp pain shot up his arm. Glowing text flickered in his vision, an ominous reminder of his overzealous actions. System notification. Warning. Severe injury detected in the right hand. Immediate treatment required to prevent necrosis. Energy output exceeded the hand's physical limits. Future strengthening adjustments are recommended. Clutching his throbbing arm, Tsuyoshi muttered hoarsely, "It hurts," before his knees buckled. His vision blurred, and he collapsed forward, fainting straight into the beast girl's chest. She gasped, catching him with surprising strength. Her voice trembled as she cradled him. "Mustard? Hung on? Don't give up." Frantically, she rummaged through her satchel, pulling out a small vial filled with a shimmering green liquid. An hour passed. The dim cave now seemed oddly serene, with two bats, one white and one black, fluttering playfully above. Tsuyoshi's eyes snapped open, a spark of vitality returning to them. He groaned as he sat up, flexing his fingers cautiously. "Oh, I feel so much better already," he exclaimed, examining his hand. The beast girl beamed, relief washing over her. "The medicine worked? Thank goodness." Tsuyoshi inspected his arm closely. Though still tender, it was no longer swollen or burning. His thoughts turned curious. The recovery speed isn't as fast as the advanced medicine from my world, but its depth. This elixir clearly taps into ancient, intricate healing methods. Feeling a sudden surge of energy, Tsuyoshi jumped to his feet. Striking a dramatic bodybuilder pose, he exclaimed, "I'm stronger than ever." The beast girl clapped her hands, her eyes sparkling. "Amazing, master. You're incredible." Still grinning, Tsuyoshi's mood shifted as something dawned on him. "Wait, the reward. We almost forgot about the treasure." The beast girl giggled, patting her satchel. "It's what we came here for, right? Let's go claim it." As they made their way deeper into the cavern, a soft glow caught Tsuyoshi's eye. A treasure chest, ornate and shining, rested in the center of the chamber. Just as they approached, another notification appeared before him. System notification. Notice. Achievement unlocked. Fastest time to defeat the goblin boss of this cave. Reward classification upgraded from partial reward to set reward. The beast girl pointed to the chest, glowing ominously in the corner, her voice filled with awe. "There it is, master. The treasure chest. It's a darkness treasure chest." Tsuyoshi's heart pounded as he approached it, his steps quickening. Darkness treasures. Items like these are almost mythical. Even in my original world, they were the stuff of legends. His hands quivered with anticipation, his excitement lighting up his face. All my battles, all that pain, it's all worth it for this moment. With a deep breath, he opened the chest. Inside lay a gleaming, intricately designed set of armor, radiating a faint, otherworldly glow. System notification. Notice. You have received the Dark Goblin set. The beast girl leaned closer, her eyes widening. "Incredible. Master, this is such a rare find. This armor will definitely come in handy." But Tsuyoshi's enthusiasm was suddenly replaced by a look of concern. He quickly closed the chest, his mind racing. "Wait, my inventory only has one free slot left. If I store the entire set, will it count as a single item or separate pieces?" As if reading his thoughts, a notification appeared before him. "Do you want to save the item in your inventory?" Hesitating for a moment, he finally selected yes. To his amazement, the entire armor set compactly fit into the single slot, leaving the remaining space untouched. System notification. The Dark Goblin set has been added to your inventory. You can retrieve it at your own will. A mischievous chuckle escaped Tsuyoshi's lips, his grin spreading wide. "What a steal! I can't believe I got away with that." The beast girl tilted her head curiously. "Master, why are you smiling like that?" Snapping back to reality, Tsuyoshi waved off her concern. "Oh, it's nothing. I was just appreciating how efficient the system is." Then a thought struck him. "By the way, can you sew?" The beast girl's ears perked up, and her smile brightened. "Of course. I've been sewing my own clothes since I was a child. I even carry a sewing kit with me." Later, under the soft, silvery glow of the moonlight, the two sat side by side on a grassy hill. The serene blue hues of the night sky painted a tranquil backdrop, as if the world itself had paused to savor the moment. The beast girl carefully mended a small tear in her cloak while Tsuyoshi leaned back, gazing at the stars. The atmosphere felt almost surreal, like a scene from a romantic painting. The beast girl held up the vest she had sewn, her eyes gleaming with anticipation. "Master, it's done. Is this good enough?" Her voice trembled slightly, a mix of pride and uncertainty. Tsuyoshi's eyes widened in genuine awe as he took the vest. Thank you. He slipped it on and marveled at the craftsmanship, his voice filled with admiration. Wow, you're so skilled. Her smile stretched across her face, the corners of her lips quivering with pride. I'm glad to be of service, she said softly, her heart swelling with warmth from his praise. A quiet sense of satisfaction washed over Tsuyoshi as he thought to himself, now that I've leveled up and got my gear, it's time to head back. He stood up, stretching, the weight of their journey pressing down on him. We should settle down for tonight to rest and recover. The beast girl nodded with a silent understanding, her eyes softening. Yes, let's go. Back in his apartment in the real world, Tsuyoshi collapsed onto his bed with a relieved sigh, his body sinking into the mattress. Phew, finally back. He stared at the ceiling, his mind drifting to the beast girl. Her face lingered in his thoughts, and he could still feel the weight of their shared experiences. After wandering with her, we finally found a place to rest. I had to wait until she fell asleep before slipping away this time. I really scored a ton of great stuff. He sighed, the weight of his journey settling on his chest. Rolling onto his side, his thoughts deepened. I can't stop the flow of time in that world forever. I'd better get some sleep. Tomorrow, we're heading into a new cave. The thought of what lay ahead was both thrilling and daunting. The next morning, a notification blinked before him, its sudden appearance pulling him from his thoughts. System notification. The Dark Goblin set is in your inventory. Would you like to equip it? Without a second thought, Tsuyoshi clicked yes, his excitement bubbling up inside him. System notification. You have equipped the Dark Goblin set. Special skill unlocked. Roaring Tentacles. Activating this skill emits a scream that stuns low-grade enemies within earshot while transforming your hand into a phantom tentacle that deals lethal damage. Tsuyoshi stared at his reflection in the mirror, his breath catching in his throat. The armor transformed him, making him look like a character from a game, a boss monster ready to strike. He couldn't help but grin, his voice full of exhilaration. Awesome. It even has a special skill. This is going to be fun. But then a shadow of doubt crept in. Wait. If I walk around in this gear, I'm definitely going to attract unwanted attention. Heroes here are known to kill others for rare equipment. He furrowed his brow and scrolled through the system, contemplating his next move. Another notification popped up, drawing his focus. System notification. Equipment effect. Conceal. This feature disguises your gear as regular clothes. Do you want to activate it? Perfect, Tsuyoshi muttered, his fingers trembling slightly as he clicked yes. The Dark Goblin set vanished in an instant, replaced by simple, everyday clothing. He glanced down at himself, the new outfit fitting comfortably, but his mind was still racing. Grinning, he straightened his shirt, trying to shake off the lingering unease. There are still a few minutes before the meeting. I should grab some bread. His voice was casual, but there was an edge of anticipation in his tone. Just as he turned to leave, his phone rang, breaking the calm. A jolt of confusion shot through him as he picked it up. Hello? On the other end, a panicked voice shattered the silence. Are you Karina's brother? I'm the chief nurse. Some scary people are at the hospital trying to take her. They claim she owes them money. Please hurry. Tsuyoshi's blood ran cold. Before he could even form a response, a gruff voice cut through, sending a chill down his spine. Don't let her go. The nurse's voice quivered, almost breaking. They've taken my phone. Please hurry. The call ended abruptly, leaving only silence and the rising tide of dread in Tsuyoshi's chest. Fury ignited within him, burning hotter than anything he had ever felt. His fingers tightened around his phone, crushing it with a single, powerful grip. With a shout of anger, he stormed out of his apartment, barely noticing the notification flashing before his eyes. System notification. Level 4. Occupation. Warrior. Equipment. Dark Goblin set. Special skill. Roaring Tentacles. Weapon. None. Skills. None. Replicate skill. Heaven Shaker. He barely registered it as his thoughts were consumed with Karina's safety. The image of her frightened, helpless, tore at him. He had to get to her. Now. At the hospital, Karina was on her knees, her voice breaking with desperation. Please wait for my brother. Stop this. What do you want from me? Her words were pleading, but the terror in her eyes was unmistakable. The lead loan shark, a burly man whose appearance screamed trouble, sneered down at her. Your brother borrowed money and didn't pay it back. The contract's clear. We're taking you as collateral. His words were sharp, calculated, and laced with menace. Karina's voice cracked as she protested. My brother would never sign such a contract. You tricked him. The loan shark's grin widened, and his eyes gleamed with dark amusement as he processed the situation. The young boss has a thing for this girl. A beauty like her would fetch a fortune on the black market. His thoughts were cruel, calculating. That fool didn't even read the fine print. He grabbed her chin roughly, forcing her to meet his gaze. Your brother's payments barely cover the interest. He'll never pay off the capital. But if you come with us quietly, we might go easy on you. His hand tightened painfully on her face, and he leaned in closer, his breath foul. His grin twisted into something sadistic, a predator sizing up its prey. If you refuse, though, no hard feelings. Suddenly, the room's door exploded inward with a deafening crash, as if the very air itself had shattered. There, standing in the doorway, his eyes blazing with an intensity that could set the world aflame, was Tsuyoshi. His voice, cold as ice, rang out, sending a ripple of fear through the loan sharks. Who dares? The room fell into an eerie silence as Tsuyoshi's gaze locked onto the man who had dared threaten his sister. The air thickened with menace, the tension palpable. His voice, low and dripping with a promise of violence, reverberated through the room like the growl of a caged beast. Brace yourself. Tsuyoshi kicked the hospital door open with the force of a superhero who's way overqualified for this situation. The system chimed in with a new notification because apparently drama triggers updates. Level 4. Occupation, Warrior. Equipment, Dark Goblin Set. Special Skill, Roaring Tentacles. Weapon None. Replicate Skill. Heaven Shaker. The room, previously noisy with bad villain dialogue, suddenly went dead silent. Tsuyoshi's sister, sitting in a wheelchair, yelled, "Brother!" like they were shooting a soap opera. The gang leader, reclining like he was on vacation, turned and sneered. Well, look who decided to show up. He gave off the vibe of a guy who spent way too much time practicing comebacks in the mirror. With the confidence of a third-rate villain straight out of a bargain bin action movie, he smirked. Why so angry? Isn't this what we agreed on? I mean, you don't even need a crippled sister like her, right? He didn't get to finish that sentence. Why, you ask? Because Tsuyoshi, fueled by rage and zero chill, moved faster than Wi-Fi at Grandma's house, and bam. His foot connected with the leader's face, so hard it probably sent a memo to his ancestors. The poor guy's teeth went airborne like confetti at a cheap party, and his body did an Olympic-level spin before crashing to the ground. Cue another system notification. Strongest body part unlocked. Legs, speed, and power increased. Tsuyoshi's eyes glowed an ominous red, like he'd just unlocked his inner anime protagonist. One of the gang members, clearly the teen clown, decided to try his luck and threw a punch. Big mistake. Tsuyoshi met the punch with his own, and the guy's hand didn't just lose, it straight up disintegrated. Now he was sitting on the ground, cradling his broken hand like baby, trembling like someone who just found out they owe the IRS. The gang leader, groaning, managed to spit out some nonsense. Nobody defies the Blue Snake Gang. You're dead meat. He whipped out a gun, aiming straight at Tsuyoshi. Let's see you survive this. He fired, and the bullet zoomed through the air. But Tsuyoshi casually caught the bullet with his bare hand, like it was no big deal. The room went silent again, except for the collective sound of jaws hitting the floor. He caught a bullet with his hand? One of the gangsters screamed, probably reconsidering every decision that led him to this moment. Impossible, another stammered, looking like he'd just seen Bigfoot riding a unicorn. Tsuyoshi, unfazed, let the bullet drop from his hand and walked toward them, his face an intimidating blend of fury and "I don't have time for this." His system chimed again, because of course it did. Strongest body part unlocked. Hands, immune to ordinary weapons. The remaining gangsters huddled together, trembling like kids caught stealing cookies. Hero. One of them stuttered because apparently they just realized they were in a superhero movie, not a gang thriller. Moments later, the nurse who'd called Tsuyoshi earlier arrived with security. There are loan sharks harassing a patient and her brother. Hurry, she yelled as she pushed the door open. Inside, she froze. The once feared gangsters were now huddled in a pathetic pile, covered in bruises, their leader looking like he'd just lost a wrestling match with a blender. Forcing a smile, the leader stammered, "Mr. Tsuyoshi, please pay me back in one lump sum as soon as possible. If you delay repayment, our young boss, who is also a hero, might not keep quiet. Well then, if you LOL, excuse me. I'm sorry for interrupting you today." He bowed so low it looked like he was auditioning for a yoga class. The gangsters all joined in, waving their hands in a weird, synchronized Buddha peace gesture. "We'll be leaving now," they said in unison before scrambling out the door like cockroaches when the lights come on. The nurse, still standing there, looked at Tsuyoshi and then at the gangsters fleeing for their lives. As the lone shark leader shuffled away from the hospital room, bruised and beaten, he muttered to himself, "The boy's become a hero. Damn it. I've got to report this to the boss, or his plan to take the sister will go down the drain." Then, as if the universe wanted to spice things up, a notification popped up in the leader's mind. Blue Shark Gang Boss. Level 10. Occupation: Warrior Tank. Combat Power: 2,300. But between you and me, notification wasn't even linked to Tsuyoshi. He smirked darkly. "The boss is level 10. That kid's just a trainee. He doesn't stand a chance. We'll crush him like a mosquito." Meanwhile, inside the hospital room, Tsuyoshi's sister, Karina, stared at him in confusion. "They left?" she asked, her voice full of disbelief. Tsuyoshi, holding a white cloth like he'd just come from a failed magic show, sighed. "Yeah, Karina. Sorry I haven't been able to visit you as much as I wanted." He stepped closer and knelt slightly. "They're right, though. If we don't pay them soon, the blue sharks will be back. I've been racking my brain trying to figure out how to repay them, but I've got nothing. Zero. So don't worry about it, okay?" Karina, with a faint smile, looked at him and said, "You really became a hero." Tsuyoshi awkwardly scratched the back of his head, pulling out his hero ID like it was a golden ticket to the chocolate factory. "Well, sort of. I'm still an intern. I'll be officially recognized after I pass the cave trial today." With determination, Tsuyoshi walked out of the room, ready to face the challenge. His thoughts raced. "I borrowed 60,000 yen from the Blue Shark Gang for Karina's treatment. If I try to pay it back slowly, it'll take forever. Even if I become an official hero, it won't be enough. The only way is to sell all my equipment. But that's risky." Then the scene shift the cave entrance. At the entrance of the cave, Tsuyoshi joined a group of adult trainees, all under the watchful eye of their instructor, a grizzled man standing with his arms crossed like he was auditioning for a martial arts movie. The instructor barked, "All right, everyone here? Good. Today, we'll test your skills to see if you're ready to become official heroes. Rules are simple. All equipment you find in the cave belongs to me. No exceptions." The trainees, eager to please, nodded without hesitation. Tsuyoshi, however, thought to himself, "I've heard rumors about this. Seems like the Hero Union is turning a blind eye. But whatever, it's not like we'll find anything valuable in a low-level cave anyway." The instructor raised a fist dramatically, his voice booming. "For the record, I'm a level 9 warrior. As long as you follow my instructions, you'll pass the exam. And in return for my expert guidance, you'll each pay me 20,000 yen. Got it?" Grumbles filled the group. One trainee muttered, "That's way too much." But Tsuyoshi, raising his hand, said loudly, "Why do we have to pay you? You're already taking all the equipment we find. How are we supposed to have any money left for ourselves?" Another trainee whispered nervously, "Don't go against him. He's part of the Crazy Wolf Guild." Tsuyoshi's eyes narrowed. "Ah, so he's got backing. No wonder he's so shameless. But I'm not letting someone like him push people around. Even if it costs me everything, I won't support someone who helps the strong crush the weak." The instructor, now visibly irritated, retorted, "If you're too broke to pay, sign up for the solo test instead." He smirked, thinking, "This kid's an idiot. Provoking me? Let's see him survive a solo trial. No one ever does." The trainees panicked. "A solo test? Isn't that suicide?" one whispered. "Even the strongest heroes avoid that," another added. Yet Tsuyoshi, undeterred, crossed his arms confidently. "So, I can sign up for a solo test? Perfect. That works for me." In the middle of forest in front of solo test entrance in cave, a spectacled official, looking like an overworked accountant, adjusted his glasses nervously as he processed Tsuyoshi's solo test application. "Are you serious?" the man asked. "Do you know what you're signing up for?" Tsuyoshi nodded firmly. "I'm sure. Please proceed." The official hesitated. No one has ever passed the solo test, not even the top heroes. It's practically a death sentence for a trainee. With a respectful bow, Tsuyoshi replied, "Thank you for your concern. There's no doubt in my mind. Please let me go." The official, now trembling, thought to himself, "This kid's insane." Meanwhile, Tsuyoshi walked toward the cave entrance, his determination unwavering. He paused, looking back briefly. Well, I'll be going in now, he said calmly as Tsuyoshi stepped into the cave. The world seemed to shift around him. In front of him was not the dark, damp cave he expected, but a magical forest glowing with an otherworldly light. A new notification popped up. Test confirmation. Trainee Tsuyoshi Tsukishiro. Solo test application confirmed. Cave type, forest type. Recommended participants, 5 or more. Recommended combat power, 600 plus. Tsuyoshi raised an eyebrow. 5 people and 600 combat power? He muttered to himself. I've only seen caves after the heroes cleaned out the darkness. Is this what an original cave looked like? Before he could ponder further, a goblin leapt out of the shadows from behind him, swinging a wooden stick. Huh? The stick connected with Tsuyoshi's back and snapped in half. A faint blue glow emitted from him. Tsuyoshi turned around slowly, looking more annoyed than hurt. A surprise attack? That level of power won't hurt me. The goblin froze. Before it could react, Tsuyoshi yanked the broken stick out of its hand and swung it back at the creature. Thwack! The goblin crumpled to the ground in a heap. Wow, Tsuyoshi said, inspecting the stick. This dark goblin is pretty strong. A notification popped up. Combat power check. 6400. Tsuyoshi smirked, his golden eyes glinting. Looking down at the goblin like it was an ant, he brushed his hands together dramatically. Compared to my power, you're dust. And I know it. The experience gained from real-world enemies is not even half of that of counterparts on the other side. No wonder the hero suffers from slow growth. Another notification appeared. Experience gained, 20 of 6,000. Sensing more movement, Tsuyoshi stretched his arms casually and he said, don't sneak up on me. Come at me all at once. The forest erupted as dozens of goblins emerged from the bushes, screeching and charging at him. Oh great, Tsuyoshi said with a sigh. Perfect timing. Without hesitation, he activated his dark goblin armor. The suit pulsed, and black tentacles erupted, striking down the goblins like they owed him money. Roaring tentacles, Tsuyoshi yelled, a wide grin on his face. Come on, form a line. Everyone gets a turn. Outside the cave, the bespectacled official stared at his iPad nervously, beads of sweat rolling down his face. Muttering to himself, he said, almost an hour. No one's ever lasted this long. Is he fearless? Or just crazy? I mean, who signs up for the solo test willingly? The union was going to cancel this thing next week, and now I'm stuck writing another obituary. Suddenly, the device beeped loudly, and a new notification appeared. Solo test results uploaded. Candidate Tsuyoshi Tsukishiro passed. The man's jaw dropped. He passed. At the cave exit, Tsuyoshi walked out of the cave casually, brushing off dirt from his darkest body, as if he'd just finished a stroll in the park. A new notification popped up. Level 4. Occupation, Warrior. Equipment, Dark Goblin Set. Special skill, Roaring Tentacles. Weapon none. Skill none. Replicated skill, Heaven Shaker. Combat value, 6,400. Looking around, Tsuyoshi asked, excuse me, is there a place nearby where I can wash up? The bespectacled official stood frozen, too stunned to respond, questioning all his life choices as Tsuyoshi casually walked past him. The scene shifts to the earlier portal, where Tsuyoshi, the trainees, and the instructor are gathered. From the portal, the instructor and all the trainees emerge, looking worse for wear. The instructor glares at the group, gripping a knife. If I hadn't been there, you'd all be long dead. Becoming a hero without being able to assist in attacks? 20,000 is too cheap. One trainee pipes up. Didn't you say it was the teachers who told us not to interfere? Another adds, and you rejected my healing music support. Are you really complaining about 20,000 after that? The first trainee chimes in again. Plus, this was my first cave dive, and you barely explained anything. Getting mad at us is just outrageous. A third trainee nervously whispers, hey, keep it down. It's fine. You've already passed the test with this. The instructor scoffs, fixing them with a glare. At your level, I should have charged you 40,000. I'm letting you off with 20,000, so quit whining. Suddenly, the instructor's communication device buzzes, interrupting his tirade. He answers with an annoyed tone. It's me, Hero Exam Center. I'm busy here, so just get to the point. But as the voice on the other end speaks, his face contorts into a mixture of shock and disbelief. Sweat starts forming on his forehead, and his jaw drops. Oh, I think I know where this is going. You might be thinking, yep, it's about our protagonist. The instructor stammers. What? That guy. Pass the solo test? Are you sure? He pauses, listening again, then exclaims loudly, "Nonsense!" Little away from the cave entrance, Tsuyoshi calmly, washing his hands and brushing some dirt off his clothes. The instructor stomps toward him, disbelief etched across his face. "I looked into it," the instructor says, crossing his arms. "At best, you're level 4. Did you use some high-grade gear? There's never been a rookie who passed the solo test before." With his usual nonchalant demeanor, Tsuyoshi tilts his head back slightly, as though posing for a dramatic movie shot. "Just because no one's done it before doesn't mean it's impossible," he replies. "Maybe I was motivated by the thought of saving 20,000. The instructor snaps, grabbing Tsuyoshi's shirt. "Are you mocking me? Answer before you regret it. I'm a member of the Lazy Wolf Guild." Unmoved, Tsuyoshi deadpants, level 9. Combat power of 1,200. Doesn't seem like a significant guild to me. The instructor's face flushes with anger as he activates his power. His fist glows with golden light. "Who do you think you are? How dare you insult me?" He launches a punch, but Tsuyoshi easily catches it midair. Unbothered, he remarks, "Planning to beat me to death with your level 9 fist?" The instructor freezes, shocked. His thoughts race. This power. At level 4? Flustered, he pulls his hand back and shouts, "You!" Drawing a dagger from his back, he lunges again. Tsuyoshi steps aside and mutters, "Wait a minute." The instructor slashes at him, but the blade shatters on impact with Tsuyoshi's dark goblin armor. The instructor stares at the broken blade, sweat trickling down his face. "It's broken?" he gasps. It didn't even feel like a body. His eyes narrow, suspiciously. "You're hiding some kind of high-grade equipment, aren't you?" Tsuyoshi thinks to himself, "Accidentally showing my abilities like this. It'll be trouble if people find out my secrets." The instructor lets out an evil laugh, sounding like a third-rate villain. "What are you hiding? It must be something good. Did you find it in the cave? Or did you steal it?" Sweat beads on Tsuyoshi's face as he tries to change the subject. "I was scared. If it weren't for that Sabi dagger, things could have been dangerous." At that moment, an office worker arrives and interrupts. "Sorry to keep you waiting, Tsushiro-san. Here's your identity verification. With this, you're officially a hero now." Taking the ID card, Tsuyoshi nods. "Understood. I'll be there right away." Internally, he sighs in relief. That was a lifesaver. Hopefully, the instructor won't pull something in front of the staff. Behind him, the instructor's face contorts into an almost monstrous grin. His malicious intent is clear, but Tsuyoshi senses it. He reflects, "My combat power may be high for level 4, but fighting higher-level enemies is always troublesome." Later that night, in Tsuyoshi's apartment, lying on his bed, Tsuyoshi recalls the earlier events. He thinks, "I seem to have drawn attention from Gaia. There are no beast-eared girls in this world, but my level is too low to risk attracting more attention." However, unbeknownst to him, 2 suspicious figures are lurking outside his door. One of them, holding a glowing magic staff, whispers, "This is the place, right?" The other nods, his voice raspy. "Yeah, break the door, use magic to paralyze him, and we'll knock him out. Then, we take everything." The ugliest instructor in history steps into view, his sinister grin exposing a long, snake-like tongue. Clutching a new blade to replace his earlier broken one, he chuckles darkly. "We'll split the treasure later. No noise. Don't alert the neighbors." The magician begins chanting softly, his staff emitting a faint glow. "Get ready. I'll break the seal first. Then we'll go in quietly." But before the lock can be undone, the door bursts open with a thunderous crash, catching all 3 intruders off guard. Standing in the doorway is Tsuyoshi, his eyes glowing an intense red, veins pulsing on his face. In his hand, he grips a wooden stick tightly. Tsuyoshi snarls, "Daipo. You're quick, aren't you?" The magician, recovering from being knocked down by the door, waves his staff. "I'll take you down," he yells, casting a spell. Tsuyoshi lunges forward, activating Heaven Shaker. The impact knocks the magician off balance, but Tsuyoshi frowns, thinking, even a level 10 mage with 3,500 combat power. The level difference is 6 stages. Fighting head-on is risky. He glances at Daipo, assessing the situation. Combat power is only one part of the equation. My 6,400 should give me an edge, but at level 4, the gap is dangerous. If the difference is within 2 levels, I can handle it. But against opponents this far ahead, the system punishes low-level fighters by reducing their damage output. Let me break it down for you in simpler terms. Imagine a level 3 warrior going up against a level 72 boss. Even if the boss is weak, your attacks would barely leave a scratch, while one hit from the boss could completely wipe you out. That's the power of level difference. It's not just about strength. It's a systematic imbalance that favors the higher level. Turning back to the instructor, Tsuyoshi considers his options. Should I run and rely on my equipment? But if I fail, it'll be instant defeat. Suddenly, the magician stands again, his cloak slightly torn. His face fully revealed. He's a bald man, and you and I are thinking the same thing. This baldy doesn't look intimidating at all. But the magician doesn't share our amusement. Clutching his scratched cloak, he yells, "I'm glad I reinforced the defense of this cloak. I'll kill you and take your stuff." He thrusts his staff forward, activating Flame Jet, a stream of fire barreling towards Tsuyoshi. Dodging the attack, Tsuyoshi narrows his eyes, his thoughts racing. This Dark Goblin set is great against physical attacks, but it's useless against magic. Fighting goblins in a cave was one thing. This is on another level. He grits his teeth, running toward the other side of the room. I need to escape. If I fight them head-on, I'll lose. Seeing Tsuyoshi make a break for it, the magician shouts, "Chase after him!" And they charge forward, determined to claim their prize. As our protagonist dashes away from the two villains, he leaps off the side of a building, calculating mid-air. Focus the body enhancement on both legs. With the Dark Goblin set's defense, I should be able to handle the landing. He activates his ultimate physique, and a notification flashes before him. Ultimate physique. Enhancement concentrated on both legs. Warning, other parts of the body remain unprotected. Feeling confident, Tsuyoshi braces for impact, but just as he's about to land, something unexpected happens. A man below appears out of nowhere, delivering a vicious knee strike straight to Tsuyoshi's stomach midair. Reeling from the attack, Tsuyoshi's thoughts race. An ambush. The system helpfully identifies the attacker. Crazy Wolf member. Level 12, Profession. Warrior Combat Power. 3900. The Crazy Wolf member, holding his both hand in high sneers. Gotcha. Bet you didn't expect a third party, huh? With both hands, the man slams Tsuyoshi to the ground, creating a crater upon impact. It's a waste for someone like you to even try, the man says, looking down smugly. Struggling to his feet, Tsuyoshi plants one hand on the ground and thinks, good thing I enhanced my whole body before landing. That knee strike hurt like hell, especially since I removed my abdominal protection. But thanks to the Dark Goblin set, I reduced the damage. The Crazy Wolf member lands in front of him, visibly impressed. You're still alive? Not bad. At the same moment, the magician, our infamous Baldy, catches up, glaring at Tsuyoshi. What kind of skill was that? How can a rookie pull something like that off? Hearing that, Tsuyoshi's temper flares. His eyes glow red, and faint markings of hidden armor begin appearing on his face. If you're trying to kill me, I'm ready to return the favor, he thinks, activating the Dark Goblin set's Roaring Tentacle skill. But before the attack can connect, Baldy smugly activates Action Restriction, nullifying the tentacles entirely. The system chimes in. Action Restriction stops the target's movement for 1.5 seconds. Effectiveness depends on level difference. Realizing the situation, Tsuyoshi grits his teeth. Damn it, my skill's been stopped. Seizing the opportunity, Baldy and the Crazy Wolf member team up for another attack. Baldy chuckles. For you to have such rare equipment at this level, it must be worth a fortune. The Crazy Wolf member, now dubbed Musclehead, grins. I bet your goal is the loot, huh? Let's split it after we finish him off. But just as things seem grim, Tsuyoshi's luck takes a sudden turn. A new notification pops up. Notice. Cooldown for the Ring of Boundless has ended. Boundless skill can now be activated. Tsuyoshi's eyes widen in relief. Heaven save me, he thinks as he activates the ring's skill, opening a portal beneath him. In a flash, he's sucked into the portal, leaving the two villains dumbfounded. As the portal closes, Tsuyoshi glares at them. I'll remember this. You all. I'll come back stronger. The real fight begins then. Reaching the other world, Tsuyoshi collapses onto the ground, sweat pouring down his face. His chest heaves as he thinks, I escaped. But barely. Looking at his trembling hands, his thoughts harden. This time, I need to level up and learn real skills. I relied too much on my equipment. If I don't have the strength to back it up, everything can be taken away. Determined, he clenches his fists. My future. It's in my own hands. But then, as he turns his head to survey his surroundings, he freezes mid-thought. To his side, the beast girl lies peacefully, curled up like a sleeping kitten. Her tranquil expression contrasts with the faint aura of wild power she exudes. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on the perspective, her relaxed posture reveals just a little too much. Tsuyoshi's eyes widen as his face turns crimson. Beast girl. Stunning figure. Wait, focus. Yet, despite his internal struggle, a single thought escapes his mind as his nose starts bleeding profusely. Right. It's still time to rest here. And guys, after seeing the sleeping girl, what do you think? I mean, have you ever seen a body like that? Seriously, she's officially my virtual crush. And seeing the beast girl, well, our protagonist wasn't immune to the same reaction we all might have. As he took in her stunning figure, he thought the scent of cherry blossoms. She always smells like cherry blossoms. But then his little guy had a mind of its own, and things started to escalate. His thoughts? If I don't take action now, am I even a man? Just as he was about to lose himself in the moment, a new system notification snapped him out of his daydream. System alert. Ultimate physique and adrenaline surge activated, enhancing muscles, speed, and key areas throughout the body. Hearing this, he was jolted back to reality, recalling the moment specifically to that tense escape from the third-grade villains. The sudden reminder cooled him down instantly. The memory doused his fiery thoughts, and soon enough his little guy calmed down. Kneeling like a defeated man, he muttered to himself, No, this isn't the time for that. I need to overcome the crisis back in my world first. I need to focus on leveling up and acquiring skills. The next morning, the beast girl slowly woke up, stretching and letting out a soft yawn. She looked completely at ease, the morning light gently casting a glow over her features. I can't speak for everyone else, but for me, there's something oddly captivating about the way she yawns. It just adds to her charm. There was something undeniably captivating about the way she stretched, the way her body moved so naturally. Even the way she yawned made my heart race a bit. For now, let's get back to the story. Stretching lazily, she said, I slept really well for the first time in a while. As for our protagonist, he sat on a chair, dark circles under his eyes, clearly restless from lack of sleep. He let out a sigh and turned to the beast girl. Yeah, I slept really well too, he said, trying to sound casual. But, could you show me another piece of clothing? Then we can get going. The beast girl paused, a look of confusion crossing her face for a moment. She blinked, trying to process what he just said. Later in the middle of a forest, she said, to learn skills, she began, you need a skill scroll. A shortcut is to study at the Combat Academy. Our protagonist, walking with the beast girl, approached the towering gates of the Beastman Tribe Combat Academy. A burly guard standing at the entrance waved them down and sneered. Are you the human the Beast King has taken an interest in? Let me make this clear. There are conditions for enrollment. First, you must reach level 6. Second, you must pass the entrance exam. Right now, you're only level 4, so it's too early for you to even think about stepping inside. Hearing this, our protagonist sighed and muttered, what a hassle. The beast girl, noticing his disappointment, quickly chimed in, I'm sorry, master. I've been training in the cave for so long that I didn't think there would be such conditions. Looking at her, the protagonist softened his expression and replied, it's okay. I need to level up anyway. I'll come back later. Encouraged by his words, the beast girl smiled and said, yes. In that case, you can try leveling up in the nearby low-level cave. It's not far from here. But before they could move, the guard interjected with a sneer. Filthy human. The beast tribes do not acknowledge your kind. If it weren't for the Beast King's command, you'd already be torn to shreds. Even if you somehow reach level 6, you'll never pass the exam. And dragging around this lowly mutt? What a perfect pair of losers. The beast girl's smile faded as her expression darkened. Thoughts raced through her mind. This is my fault. Master is so kind that I forgot my place. I'm just a burden to him. If I stay by his side, I'll only cause more trouble. I have to explain everything to him properly and say goodbye soon. Meanwhile, the protagonist's patience snapped. Eyes blazing, he clenched his fists and marched toward the guard with an intensity that made the air feel heavier. Seeing this, the beast girl called out behind him, Master. Our protagonist suddenly grabbed the guard by his collar, lifting him slightly off the ground. His eyes glowed with anger as he growled, You bastard. What did you just say? Should I tear your mouth open? The intensity in his voice left no room for argument. His gaze bore into the guard as he added, Apologize to her. Right. Now. The guard, brushing off the threat, smirked and said, I was just stating the facts. That girl is a hybrid, half human, half beast. In other words, she's a half-breed. A disgrace to us beastmen. She doesn't even have a proper name. A system notification suddenly appeared in front of our protagonist. Half-beast. One who is not a pure beastman, generally regarded as a shameful existence by beastmen. Born of a human and a beastman, half-beasts are shunned for tainting bloodlines, rejected by both races, and rarely given names. Most live lonely, abandoned lives. As he read the notification, his mind flashed back to when he first met the beast girl. His eyes narrowed. So that's why her name didn't appear when I used the divine eye earlier. She didn't have one in the first place. When his focus returned to the guard, he noticed other beastmen armed with bows, arrows trained on him. The guard sneered. Don't get cocky just because the Beast King has taken an interest in you. If you disrespect a beastman warrior, I'll punish you. Equally, pass the exam, and maybe I'll consider apologizing to that girl. But we both know a human could never accomplish that. The words stung, and for a moment, our protagonist froze. From behind, the beast girl tugged on his sleeve and whispered, Master, you're absolutely right. There's no need to get involved because of someone like me. Her words made his chest tighten. He released the guard, his voice calm but firm. Sakura, he declared, looking at her. Her name is Sakura. Remember it. The beast girl's eyes widened in shock. Her mind raced. Sakura. Is that the name Master gave me? The guard snorted, but before he could respond, our protagonist turned and walked away. Remember what I said? He called over his shoulder. If I pass, you'll apologize properly. He gently placed a hand on the beast girl's shoulder and said, Let's go, Sakura. Time to level up. As they headed towards a nearby mountain, our protagonist spotted fox beastmen patrolling the area. His eyes gleamed with excitement. Fox beastmen? Rare. Let's level up with these guys. The beast girl hesitated before speaking. Master, she asked softly, why did you name me Sakura? He rubbed the back of his head awkwardly. You don't like it? I just named you on a whim. Her cheeks flushed as she waved her hands frantically. No, I like it. I love it, she exclaimed, then lowered her head shyly. I just want to know how you came up with it. Her curiosity made him even more flustered. Rubbing his cheek, he muttered, Well, it's a bit embarrassing, but you always have a faint scent of cherry blossoms, graceful and calm. I thought Sakura suited you, so I named you that. Sorry if I overstepped. Her eyes glistened with emotion as she suddenly hugged him from behind. Thank you, Master. I really love this name. He scratched his head awkwardly, a faint smile on his lips. You're welcome. Both of them stood at the entrance of a dark cave. The protagonist turned to the beast girl, a confident smile on his face. So, shall we get started, Sakura? She handed him a dagger, her tail swishing slightly as she asked, How does the dagger I bought earlier suit you? Holding the weapon in his hand, he examined it carefully. It's not a top-notch item, he said with a smirk, but it's much stronger than a goblin club. He lifted the dagger in front of him, excitement flashing in his eyes. Yeah, I'm satisfied. After lifting that hammer, any weapon feels light. Inside the cave, they encountered a group of beastmen with fox-like features. The air felt tense as they silently observed their intruders. The system notification popped up. Fox beastmen, members of the fox tribe. They are quick and more intelligent than regular beastmen. Adventurers who underestimate them will regret it. Seeing this, the protagonist turned to Sakura. Sakura, stay in the back and teach me as usual. I want the experience, so don't interfere. Sakura gave him a slight pout, her ears drooping. Yes, you called my name, she said, her voice soft yet pleased. With the dagger firmly in his grip, the protagonist grinned. Let's go. Time to try out my new dagger. He launched himself at the nearest beastman. From behind, Sakura called out, Fox beastmen are nimble, so hold back on wide swings. As he struck at one of them, he thought to himself, they really are fast. In a split second, another beastman attacked from his blind spot. Instinctively, he activated his ultimate physique, raising his hand just in time. The beastman's weapon shattered on impact with his arm. The other beastmen froze, their confidence crumbling. The protagonist stared them down, his voice steady but menacing. With this level of combat power, you can't even scratch me. From a distance, Sakura watched in awe. Master's defense is incredible, she thought, her eyes sparkling. As expected of someone chosen by the Iron Hammer. Low-level enemies are no match for him. With this, I can level up quickly. Without pausing, the protagonist charged at the remaining fox beastmen, taking them down one by one. His movements became sharper, his strikes more precise. Against agile enemies, speed matters more than power, he muttered, finally understanding their weakness. After clearing the area, he paused to examine his dagger, his breathing steady. Leveling up is fast in this world, he said to himself. There's no need to compete for resources, which means I can monopolize all the experience. But then, his expression darkened. He clenched the dagger, his mind replaying memories of past battles. Those three, he thought grimly, recalling the faces of the third-grade villains he faced in the real world. The level 9 instructor, the muscle-headed level 12 brute, and finally, the level 10 baldy. He frowned, calculating his chances. Even with my high combat power, the level difference makes it impossible. Their skills and coordination are too much. I'm at a numerical disadvantage. His resolve hardened. I need to close the level gap and acquire more skills. There's no other way. And with that, the protagonist's expression hardened, his eyes gleaming with determination as he strode deeper into the cave. Let's level up to 6 all at once, Sakura, he declared firmly. I'll make that arrogant beastman bow his head. Behind him, Sakura's ears perked up, and her tail swayed with excitement. Clasping both hands close to her chest, she said with a bright voice, "Yes, master." Her enthusiasm echoed in the cave as the two ventured further. As the protagonist ventured deeper into the cave, he encountered a towering wolf beastman wielding a massive sword. The beastman looked terrifying, with eyes scanning its surroundings as if searching for its next prey. The protagonist, eyeing the beastman's enormous weapon, smirked and murmured to Sakura, "I wonder if it'll drop that sword." Excitement sparked in his voice as he surveyed the weapon's potential, but when Sakura asked if he really wanted it, he casually deflected, "No, I was just curious." "Does it really drop?" Sakura, ever the enthusiastic guide, clasped her hands together and exclaimed, "Yes. Most items drop after defeating enemies, but it depends on the party and the cave. The higher the item's quality, the lower the drop rate. Using special items can improve your chances." Intrigued, the protagonist turned his focus back to the Beastman boss, thinking, so there's even a drop rate. This world really does feel like a game. As he examined the details hovering above the Beastman's head, a notification appeared. Dark Fox Beastman Boss Level 7, Combat Power 1500 Black Cold Light Sword, Drop Rate 6%. The low percentage made him pause. Only 6%? That's going to be tough. But that sword, it's perfect for me. Suddenly, a golden notification popped up. Exchange system activated, conditions detected. Exchange items to unlock special effects and upgrades. Items on exchange for long periods will reset. Curious, the protagonist scanned through the exchange options and found a valuable item. High probability drop scroll effect. Plus 30% drop rate for 1 minute condition. Defeat 30 monsters. Current total 114 monsters defeated. Excitement welled up within him as he thought, I've already defeated 114. If I exchange 3 scrolls at once, I'll have a 96% chance. That sword will be mine. Without hesitation, he met the conditions, exchanging 3 scrolls in a flurry of notifications. However, another warning popped up. Storage unavailable. Use items immediately. Wiping sweat from his brow, he put the scrolls somewhere safe and turned to Sakura, determination radiating from him. "Sakura, let's get that sword. This will make me stronger." Sakura, his ever-loyal supporter, beamed with excitement. "Master, do your best." Gripping his weapon tightly, the protagonist fixed his intense gaze on the Beastman boss. "Stay focused. Sakura, guide me." The stage was set for an epic battle. Would the sword drop, or would the Beastman prove too strong? Stay tuned for the next part. Just joking. As the protagonist approached the Dark Fox Beastman boss, their eyes locked, and the tension was palpable. The Beastman, sensing the challenger's intent, lunged forward, swinging its massive sword effortlessly. The protagonist narrowly dodged, sweat rolling down his face as he thought, that sword has a cold effect. Getting hit would be trouble. From behind, Sakura chimed in, her wide puppy dog eyes brimming with excitement. The Dark Fox Beastman isn't just fast, it's incredibly strong. Its weapon is imbued with ice, which slows movement and drains stamina on contact. Master, exploit its weaknesses and finish this quickly. She clenched her fists for emphasis and added, use flame oil on your sword. Fire is its greatest fear. Acknowledging her advice, the protagonist applied the oil, igniting his blade in a fiery blaze. With a determined glint in his eyes, he said, got it. Let's see if your eyes can handle my fire. Charging forward, the protagonist met the beastman head-on. The creature's instinct screamed kill as it swung wildly, but the protagonist matched its ferocity. Give me that sword, he growled. Sakura, observing with the excitement of an instructor, called out, its weak points are the arms and neck. Target those areas. Following her advice, he prepared to attack the beastman's weak points. The protagonist slashed at the beastman's arm, slightly reducing its health. A notification appeared. Status change. Cowardice effect. Double damage. Enemy aggression and morale significantly reduced. Duration. 15 seconds. The protagonist grinned, thinking, so it has effects like this? Interesting. Seizing the moment, he launched another attack, saying I will take advantage of this opening. Sakura, ever vigilant, cheered from behind. Master, enemies in this state have more obvious weak points. Dodge carefully and strike with precision. Glancing back briefly, he smirked. Got it? Thanks. The beastman retaliated, swinging its massive blade with reckless abandon. The protagonist dodged effortlessly, yet he thought grimly, without Sakura's guidance, I would have been finished. Noticing the beastman panting heavily, the protagonist surged forward. Holding his sword high, he declared, if it's over for you, it's my turn now. Sakura shouted, now go for the neck. Activating his ultimate physique, the protagonist boosted his strength by 60%, increasing his power output by 200%. There, he roared, landing a devastating slash to the beastman's neck. Another notification appeared. Critical hit. Triple damage effect. Debilitation. Duration. 15 seconds. Sakura jumped in excitement, her cheers echoing through the cave. Master, that was amazing, but stay alert until the end. As she cheering for our protagonist sees, it may be a low-level fight, but with Master, it's so exciting. Hearing her encouragement, the protagonist leaped into the air, executing a flawless flip. This ends now, he declared, unleashing his Heaven Shikar technique to finish off the beastman. With a final blow, the Dark Fox beastman fell. Sakura, brimming with pride, jumped with excitement, her cheers as loud as her admiration. Master, that was incredible. When she cheering for our protagonist, I didn't notice anything bouncy, or maybe I was wrong, but if you guys notice anything, let me know in the comment. The protagonist wiped blood from his face, thinking that was a satisfying fight. Holding the scroll, he activated it just in time as golden light enveloped his hand. He thinks I almost forgot to use the scrolls before it drops. Notification. High probability drop scroll activated. Drop rate increased to 96%. Duration, 1 minute. A brilliant golden light appeared in his hand, and as he hoped, the black cold light sword dropped alongside several notifications, plus 3,000 experience points. Current, 5,436,000. Dark Fox Beastman boss defeated. Item obtained. Black cold light sword. Overwhelmed with excitement, the protagonist exclaimed, 3,000 experience points, and it dropped too. Sakura, practically glowing with pride, said, you're so lucky, Master. Almost no one gets this weapon on the first try. Ignoring her, the protagonist inspected the massive sword, thinking, even with my ultimate physique, I'd be at risk without proper equipment. But this weapon will make me unstoppable. With this, even those 3 crazy wolves will fall, just a little more to reach level 5. I'm gonna hit level 6 by tonight for both Sakura's shake and my own. Our protagonist rested his massive sword on his shoulder, looking at Sakura with a determined gaze. Sakura, is there anywhere else I can level up? I need to hit level 6 fast. Sakura, the ever-enthusiastic fan, pointed a finger dramatically toward the sky. That's easy. Just use a reset scroll. As if on cue, the system chimed in explaining, reset scroll shortens the respawn time for monsters in caves or dungeons. Effectiveness decreases in higher level or special areas. Sakura nodded, adding, since this is a low-level area, the The monsters here will respawn quickly. Perfect for grinding. She rummaged through her bag and pulled out a scroll. I've got a few of them, which should be enough to reach level 6, but how about taking a break first? I also have healing potions. The protagonist raised an eyebrow, glancing at her overflowing inventory. Wow, Sakura, you've got everything, don't you? A short while later, outside the cave, Sakura held up the scroll. This should do it, she declared confidently as it disappeared from her hand. Notification. The reset scroll has been used. The cave has been reset. Grinning, the protagonist hoisted his sword over his shoulder and strode toward the cave. All right, I can't wait any longer. Sakura followed closely, gripping her hands tightly close to her chest. Inside the cave, the grind began. The protagonist tore through fox beastmen with ease. His new black cold light sword slowing enemies with its icy effects. This sword is impressive, he said after another swift victory. Its cold effect makes them sluggish. It's perfect for me. Sakura chimed in, some weapons have special effects and their strength varies. I'm sure you'll find even better ones in the future. As the protagonist dispatched yet another foe, his thoughts wandered. Speaking of powerful weapons, the Divine King Hammer, a beastman's secret weapon stored in the Divine Consciousness inventory. But right now, even if I forcefully use the ultimate physique, I can only manage 1 second at most. If I could use it properly, I'd be invincible. The beastman boss, watching from the shadows, began to tremble as the protagonist's onslaught continued. Seeing this, the protagonist smirked, his voice dripping with confidence. Hey, have you been well? I've defeated your minions and reached level 5. Let's do this. Using another reset scroll, he faced the boss again. I'm back, boss, he taunted. By the 4th round, he grinned cheekily. I missed you. On the 6th encounter, the Fox Beastman boss, overwhelmed and terrified, did something unexpected. It knelt on the ground and handed over its sword. Both the protagonist and Sakura froze in shock, unable to respond for a moment. Finally snapping out of it, the protagonist grinned slyly. Now that's the way. He finished the boss with one final blow, leveling up in the process. Notification. You have reached level 6. Black Cold Light, Sword Copied Skills. Heaven Shaker. Power. 8800. Wiping the blood from his face, the protagonist surveyed the defeated beastmen scattered around. I've replenished my stamina 6 times today. I must have collected the full Fox Beastman gear set by now. Finally, level 6. His eyes glowed with newfound confidence. Now I can take the trial. Just wait for me. The scene shifted to the entrance of the Beastman Combat Academy. 2 Beastman guards sat by a fire, chatting lazily. A human wants to take the trial after reaching level 6? What a fool, one said, scoffing. The other laughed. Even if he levels up, who knows when that'll be? Besides, only robust warriors can enter the Combat Academy. Their banter was interrupted by a calm, confident voice. Hey, who knows when? Too bad for you. I'm already level 6. From the shadows, the figures of the protagonist and Sakura appeared. The guards turned pale, their confidence crumbling. In no way. You leveled up twice in a single day? Emerging fully into the light, the protagonist was clad in the full wolf beastman armor set he'd earned. Resting his sword on his shoulder, he shot the guards a sharp glare. Go wake the examiner. I'm not waiting until tomorrow. And get ready to apologize to Sakura while you're at it. All right, that's a wrap for in charge of the Beastman Warrior Academy admission test stormed out, looking half asleep and fully annoyed. What is this nonsense? I was just about to nap. A human trial? If you waste my time, prepare for the consequences. Tsuyoshi, standing unfazed, replied coolly, I meet the requirements. Is that the trial? Also, I want to choose a skill from the skill vault. Beside him, the beast girl, Sakura, silently observed him, her tail flicking ever so slightly. The orc sneered. You talk big. Just reaching level 6 doesn't mean you'll pass the trial. But before he could continue his rant, another tribesman whispered something in his ear. The orc's eyes widened in disbelief. What? From level 4 to level 6 in less than a day? How is that even possible? Tsuyoshi tilted his head in confusion. Hey, don't run away now. If I pass, you'll apologize to Sakura. As a beastman warrior, you won't go back on your word, right? The orc, clearly irritated, barked, fine. But where does all your confidence come from? Human? Another examiner, trying to keep his composure, muttered, I don't know what happened, but let's do as he says. The idea that a mere human could pass a trial meant for beastmen. Laughable. Just then, a black-robed elder orc entered the scene. He was the Academy's combat priest commander, exuding authority. If you've reached level 6, let's begin. Beastmen are a race of strength, and strength is the primary criteria for passing. If you succeed, you'll earn the right to use our skill vault. The commander gestured to a massive eye-stone tablet on the platform. The trial is simple. Crack the stone slab with a single punch. Pass, and the skill vault is yours. Tsuyoshi blinked. Crack it? That's all. The earlier orc snickered, thinking, the commander's using the outer stone? Even a level 10 warrior would struggle with that. Normally, we use regular stones. Let's see that confidence vanish. The system in Tsuyoshi's mind helpfully explained, outer stone, a celestial rock used by beastmen to measure strength. Once feared as a bad omen, its hard metal content is now prized for crafting weapons. The commander smirked. It's easy for a beastman. All you have to do is crack it in one shot. I will show you how it's done. Easy, is it? Anyone below level 10 wouldn't even be able to scratch the outer stone? It's not hard if you were using a regular stone, but if it's a hated human, that's a different story. He think inwardly. He wound up and punched the stone with all his might, his muscles rippling. Even I, at level 20, need to give it my all, he think. A small crack appeared, and he turned to Tsuyoshi, puffing out his chest. That's how it's done. Let's see what you've got. Tsuyoshi strode toward the stone slab with unwavering confidence. All right, let's give it a shot, he said casually. Behind him, Sakura cheered, her voice brimming with excitement. Master, do your best. Facing the slab, Tsuyoshi thought to himself, leaving a mark should be easy. Thanks to my ultimate physique, I can push my power far beyond what's expected at my level. But just to be sure, let's fine-tune it for maximum impact. As he activated his power, lightning crackled around his right arm, and the system chimed in as usual. Ultimate physique. 50% of strength concentrated in the right arm. Tremendous power activated. The beastmen in the crowd exchanged skeptical glances. One of them scoffed. It might be easy for us beastmen, but a weak human can't even. His words were cut short as Tsuyoshi's fist connected with the slab. Boom! The impact sent shockwaves rippling through the area. The stone tablet didn't just crack, it shattered into pieces, scattering dust everywhere. The wind from the punch blew back the onlookers, leaving them stunned and speechless. Tsuyoshi blinked at the destruction, scratching the back of his head awkwardly. Oops, did I put too much force into it? He muttered, rubbing his hand. I was expecting something tougher. From behind, Sakura clasped her hands, her eyes sparkling with admiration. As expected, Master. Now you can access the skill vault. The beastman who had insulted Tsuyoshi earlier and the Academy examiner were frozen, their jaws practically on the ground. Did you see that? The beastman whispered. He shattered the outer stone in one blow. Impossible. The commander, equally shocked, muttered in disbelief. No one below level 10 could do that. And yet, Tsuyoshi, unfazed by the commotion, casually dusted off his hands and smirked. So, that counts as a pass, right? The examiner, now sweating nervously, pointed a shaky finger at Tsuyoshi. And no, you failed. I wasn't looking when you did it. I swear the crack must have been from my demonstration earlier. Why, yeah, that's it. The stone doesn't count. It's my power you borrowed. Tsuyoshi glanced at the sweating examiner, tilting his head in confusion. So, what's the plan for the trial now? The examiner, clearly panicking, shouted, We'll do it over. Next is the iron bar bending test. His mind flashed to the image of even high-level beastmen struggling with the iron bar, but he quickly puffed up his chest, looking confident. Iron bar bending is a strength measuring test. The participant must bend an extremely hard iron bar using brute force, like this. He grabbed an iron bar and thought to himself, this is no joke. Even for a beastman warrior, it takes explosive power to bend this. Moments later, Tsuyoshi casually bent the steel bar as if it were made of rubber. He tossed it aside, looking at the examiner with unimpressed eyes. How about now? The examiner, refusing to admit defeat, blurted, No, you failed. That iron bar isn't for testing. Then, regaining his fake confidence, he declared, We'll use the most primitive method, arm wrestling. If you can last 10 seconds against our strongest warrior, you pass. He smirked inwardly. This time it's different. Even I can't beat him. To his dismay, Tsuyoshi defeated the beastman warrior in an instant. The table didn't just break, it exploded from the impact of Tsuyoshi's strength. The examiner coughed up blood in shock. He didn't even last a second. Tsuyoshi glared at the examiner angrily, his tone commanding. I've already completed 3 trials. I passed this time, right? Both the examiner and the beastman warrior trembled in fear, sweat pouring down their faces. Oh, of course you pass, stammered the examiner. The other beastman muttered, what a terrifying human. Tsuyoshi gently took Sakura's hand and walked confidently toward the beastman. With a firm voice, he said, now, as promised, you will apologize to Sakura. The beastman scowled but, bound by his honor, muttered under his breath, damn it. Fine. A beastman warrior keeps his word. He bowed slightly, his pride clearly wounded, and said, I'm sorry. I apologize for what I said last time. Sakura's cheeks turned a soft pink as she brought her hand to her mouth, clearly flustered. I never expected this, she said in an awkward tone. I thought this kind of treatment was just normal. Please don't worry about it. Tsuyoshi turned to her with a calm but firm expression. Sakura, you don't need to be reserved. It's only right that he apologized. You should accept the apology with pride. Hearing those words, Sakura's face brightened with happiness. Her expression was almost glowing as she looked up at Tsuyoshi. Yes, master, she said softly, her voice filled with admiration. Turning back to the beastman, her confidence now shining through, Sakura said clearly, I accept your apology. Sometime later, the group stood before the skill vault entrance. The examiner pointed at the massive doors and said to Tsuyoshi, you may only take 1 skill scroll at a time when you enter. Tsuyoshi's expression twisted in disbelief. Only 1 at a time? That's ridiculous. The beastman, annoyed by Tsuyoshi's complaints, snapped. Did you think you could take whatever you wanted? The Combat Academy has strict rules. The examiner, ignoring the argument, gestured toward the vault. Once you're inside, you have 3 minutes to find a skill scroll you like. If you break the seal on a scroll within that time, it becomes yours. If time runs out, you'll be expelled by the barrier and won't be able to enter again for a while. Tsuyoshi sighed, clearly annoyed. A time limit, a seal, an expulsion? What's with all the rules? The examiner explained, his tone matter of fact. The Combat Academy is a significant place representing the region. High-level sorcerers and mages are invited to place seals and barriers to protect the vault. The system chimed in, explaining further, scroll seal, a magical seal that prevents the scroll from being used unless broken. Rules barrier, a barrier that enforces conditions, allowing or denying entry to living beings. Tsuyoshi scratched his neck, his expression a mix of confusion and irritation. This is more complicated than I expected. Sakura, ever the optimist, chimed in excitedly. That's right. I've heard of even stricter conditions at higher-level combat academies. The vault doors creaked open, and the examiner barked. If you understand, go in. Don't even think about stealing a skill. You'll be expelled immediately. Got it? You have 3 minutes to choose a scroll and get out. Inside the vault, Tsuyoshi's eyes sparkled as he took in the endless shelves of skill scrolls. Whoa, I see why they need magic to protect this place. With so many scrolls, I'd be tempted to steal some too, he joked, running around in excitement. Meanwhile, Sakura examined a scroll, murmuring to herself, this is my first time entering the skill vault. Each scroll is sealed, so I can't see what they are. But it feels like I could just break the seal with brute force. Tsuyoshi, on the other hand, grew serious as he scanned the scrolls. I was planning to use absolute duplication, but finding a really good skill is harder than I thought. He cringed, imagining something awkward. Using absolute duplication could get weird, especially with Sakura around. Suddenly, he remembered his real-world problems and clenched his fists. Focus. I need a skill to deal with those 3. Time to put my strength to use. He activated his power, lightning crackling around his hand. The system chimed. Success. Skill information unlocked. Shield slam. Strike the target with a shield, dealing physical damage and causing dizziness. Suitable for defense-oriented warriors. Tsuyoshi frowned. Shield slam? I don't even use a shield. From behind, Sakura held up a scroll. Master, I found something. It's called Gale Step. Move swiftly to avoid enemy attacks and increase your attack speed. Suitable for speed-oriented archers. Tsuyoshi shook his head. An archer? Not my style. Sakura didn't give up. How about this one? War cry. Let out a roar to inspire allies, increasing attack and defense. It's a common warrior skill. Tsuyoshi sighed. Pass. Time ticked down, and he started panicking. Only 2 minutes left? This is bad. None of these skills resonate with me. Sakura, holding another scroll, shouted, What about a counterattack skill? Tsuyoshi thought for a moment. That might work. I'll keep it as a candidate. The clock ticked closer. 1 minute left. This is bad. Tsuyoshi muttered, beads of sweat forming on his forehead. Desperate, he turned to Sakura. You've got stamina potions and energy potions in your bag, right? I might need them. Hide behind something sturdy, quick. Sakura, startled, ducked behind a wall. Yes, master. Lightning surged around Tsuyoshi's hand as he grinned. All right, time for plan B. Outside the vault, lightning flashed in the sky. The beastman examiner and warrior looked up in shock. What's going on in there? Inside, Tsuyoshi raised his electrified fist. I'm breaking all the seals at once. Sakura, peeking from behind the wall, thought, even I'm overwhelmed by master's intensity. As Tsuyoshi raised his hand high, lightning crackled violently around him, and a notification appeared before him. Notification. Due to insufficient level and conditions, you cannot fully unleash the power of the Divine King's Hammer. Forcing the release will consume a vast amount of energy. Duration of release, 1 second. Clenching his teeth, Tsuyoshi shouted with unshakable determination. 1 second is all I need. Outside the skill vault, massive lightning dragons spiraled into the sky, illuminating the entire area with an electrifying brilliance. The examiner, drenched in sweat, stared at the sky in disbelief, thinking, is this really human power? Inside the vault, Tsuyoshi gripped the hammer tightly, his body trembling as he struggled to contain its overwhelming power. Lightning surged wildly, threatening to consume him. From behind a wall, Sakura watched with awe, her thoughts racing. What a terrifying presence. I wouldn't have believed it if I hadn't seen it with my own eyes. Another notification appeared. Notification. Divine King's Hammer activated. Duration, 1 second. With a deafening roar, Tsuyoshi struck the ground with the hammer, shouting, I'm going to break all the seals on these scrolls at once. The impact was catastrophic. A shockwave of lightning burst from the hammer, spreading throughout the vault. At the same time, the lightning dragons outside vanished into thin air. Inside, every sealed scroll crackled and glowed as the seals shattered simultaneously. Sakura's eyes widened in shock. The seals on all the skill scrolls. Broken in an instant, she murmured, utterly stunned. Tsuyoshi fell to one knee, clutching his injured hand. He grimaced but managed a strained smile. I did it, he muttered. Suddenly, without warning, a torrent of glowing information surged toward him from the broken scrolls. His eyes glowed as streams of unknown words flooded his mind. The information from the scrolls. It's all coming in, he thought, struggling to process it all. Sakura watched with growing concern. The information from all these scrolls is too massive. If Master receives it all at once, his brain won't be able to handle it. Master, hang in there, she called out, her voice trembling with worry. Tsuyoshi clutched his head, sweat pouring down his face. My head. It's splitting, he groaned, his thoughts spiraling. I see it all. Give me the strongest one. The skill that suits me best. This isn't enough. Give me the strongest skill. Amid the chaos, a single scroll began to crackle with lightning, catching his attention. That's the one. Sakura, unaware of his discovery, shouted, Master, we're running out of time. Tsuyoshi focused on the scroll he had been searching for, his mind resolute. Since it caught my eye. This is it, he called out to Sakura with urgency. Sakura, bring me the one on the bottom shelf of the furthest back aisle. Third from the back. Without hesitation, Sakura leaped into action. Yes, master, she shouted, dashing toward the designated scroll. Her determination matched his, as she sprinted to fulfill his command. Sakura darted through the vault, her sharp eyes scanning the shelves until she spotted the scroll. She thought to herself, bottom shelf, third from the back. This is it. Grabbing the scroll, she paused, her heart skipping a beat. The information on the scroll appeared before her. Fragmented scrolls that are incomplete due to missing pieces. Requires all fragments to unlock full potential. Fragmented scrolls have diminished power, making them unsuitable for learning. Her hands trembled slightly as she thought, a fragmented scroll? There must be some mistake. No one ever bothers with these. Despite her doubts, Sakura rushed back to Tsuyoshi. Master, are you sure about this? It's a fragmented scroll. We're out of time. Let's get out of here. But Tsuyoshi, his resolve unshaken, scooped Sakura into his arms with ease. I can manage a little more. I'll get us out myself. Meanwhile, outside the skill vault, the examiner stood anxiously. Wiping the sweat from his brow, he muttered, it's quiet now. Only 5 seconds left. Even if he hasn't chosen a scroll, the barrier will expel him once time is up. Suddenly, the doors of the vault creaked open with a loud crack, and smoke billowed out. From the haze, Tsuyoshi emerged, scroll in hand, his expression calm. Just in time, he said, his voice cutting through the tension. I'm done. The examiner's eyes widened in disbelief. You brought out a fragmented scroll? Before Tsuyoshi could respond, the scroll in his hand began to glow, and its information appeared before him. Thunder Chainfall, a powerful combat magic. Summons a potent electrical current that inflicts lightning damage. The attack arcs between 3 targets, suitable for warriors and mages. The examiner's face darkened with concern. I've heard of this scroll. My predecessor mentioned it. He hesitated, then continued gravely. In the last 1,000 years, almost no one has attempted to learn this skill. He clutched his forehead as old stories resurfaced. There are 2 reasons. First, this skill is divided into 6 volumes, but only 3 fragments have ever been found. Collecting the rest without any clues in this vast world is unrealistic. His tone grew heavier. Second, every beastman who tried to learn this skill in the past met a gruesome end. As they leveled up, they couldn't control the power, and their bodies exploded, resulting in gruesome deaths, probably because they couldn't control the skill's power. Tsuyoshi raised an eyebrow, a bead of sweat rolling down his temple. So, working hard to learn it, collecting all the fragments, only to blow up in the end? No wonder no one's mastered it. Just then, the old beastman in the robe from earlier appeared, his presence commanding attention. No, he interrupted firmly. There was one. Everyone turned to him as he recalled an ancient tale. 1,000 years ago, the strongest beastman king, known as the Divine King, mastered this skill. He was the wielder of our sacred artifact, the Divine King's Hammer. This skill was his ultimate legacy. Tsuyoshi, poking his nose in mock boredom, remarked, a skill left behind by the wielder of the Divine King's Hammer? Why was such a powerful skill placed with that garbage? The old beastman's face turned red with anger. Are you mocking me? Is this some kind of joke? Taking a deep breath, he composed himself, his tone turning serious. No matter how strong a skill is, it's meaningless if no one can learn it. Just like a superior weapon useless in the hands of someone who can't wield it. You dare belittle a skill left by the great Divine King? It has remained dormant for millennia, just like the former glory of the beastmen. Perhaps it too will never return. Tsuyoshi smirked, raising the scroll high into the air. Whatever it is, it must be perfect for me. He turned to Sakura with fiery determination. Sakura, let's go. Sakura looked up at him with a gentle smile. Yes, master, she replied softly. As Tsuyoshi and Sakura walked away from the old beastman, his gaze lingered on them. That fragment is only the beginning, he muttered. Whether you can find the remaining pieces or master the skill depends on your strength and luck. His eyes narrowed as they shifted to Sakura. And you, he said sharply, you're the half-beast who is supposed to be executed, aren't you? Sakura stiffened, her expression darkening. The old beastman's tone turned accusatory. How could you betray the beastmen like this? That human probably doesn't know your true identity yet. Do you plan to sacrifice him too? Sakura's eyes blazed with anger. This is none of your concern, she snapped, her voice cutting through the tension. The old beastman watched them leave, his expression unreadable. As their figures disappeared into the distance, he muttered to himself, I'll see how far you can go. Later, inside an inn, Tsuyoshi sat on a chair, carefully unwrapping the bandages from his hand. Sakura, your healing potion is incredibly effective, he said with a grimace. But seriously, how the heck did you make something that tastes that bad? Sakura sat across from him, quietly lost in thought. Noticing her silence, Tsuyoshi raised an eyebrow. Sakura, you've been acting strange since we got back. Are you okay? Startled, she quickly looked up. Yeah, I'm just a little tired, she replied, though her voice lacked its usual energy. She fiddled with a piece of cloth in her hands, avoiding his gaze. Tsuyoshi's expression softened. Sakura, I'm just curious. You were supposed to be executed, right? Was it just because of your background? Her face fell, shadows flickering across her eyes as memories of that moment resurfaced. She remembered the cold, unforgiving eyes of her captors and the words that sealed her fate. You're next. Before the weight of the conversation could settle, Sakura forced a bright smile and clapped her hands. Let's not talk about unpleasant things anymore, she said with forced excitement. Master, have you studied the scroll yet? Tsuyoshi leaned back with a grin. Memorized it earlier. That old beastman said some weird things, but this skill feels perfect for me. He recalled his earlier practice session, where the Thunder Chainfall's potential began to unfold. This skill requires a strong body, he thought, his confidence swelling. It's more than suitable for someone like me, who has the strongest body. I can't wait to see its full power once I collect the remaining fragments. Sakura suddenly stood up, her energy returning. Excellent. Shall we go now? She asked cheerfully, stretching as she walked to the door. Stepping outside, she yawned and looked up at the clear sky. It's a beautiful day. Looks like a perfect day for you to level up, Master. Tsuyoshi chuckled, glancing at the ornate ring on his finger. You're right, he said. But first, there's something I need to take care of. At that moment, a system notification appeared before him. Notification. The countdown for the Boundless Ring has ended. The Boundless Passage is now available. A mischievous grin spread across Tsuyoshi's face. Finally, he thought, when I master this skill, I'll know exactly how to deal with those three. With a wave of his hand, the Boundless Passage portal shimmered into existence. Stepping through, he returning to his real world. As he passing through the portal, Tsuyoshi's eyes gleamed with determination. Preparing his attack, he muttered to, I told them to remember me, didn't I? I'll definitely kill them. As Tsuyoshi emerged into his real world, his gaze hardened. I'm back, he thought. Before I start attacking, I need to close the distance. Ahead of him, the three enemies, Baldy, the instructor, and Musclehead, launched a relentless assault. Their attacks came fast and furious, forcing Tsuyoshi to dodge and maneuver. To activate my new skill, I need a weapon, he mused. Good thing I have the Divine Consciousness inventory. He activated the inventory with a thought, and a gleaming sword appeared in his hand, the one he had taken from the Fox Beastman cave. Tsuyoshi gripped the hilt tightly, the blade radiating energy. I'm counting on you, my skill. Seeing the weapon materialize, Baldy's eyes widened. He pulled that sword out of thin air. Does he have a dimensional ring? The instructor's eyes narrowed. He's hiding some serious secrets. That's no ordinary weapon. It's a high-quality item. I'll take it for myself. Musclehead snorted. Kill him first. We can divide the loot later. Tsuyoshi smirked, his confidence unshaken. You're the ones who started this fight. Raising the sword high, its blade crackling with lightning, Tsuyoshi stood tall amidst his enemies. The aura surrounding him grew heavier, making the air feel charged and oppressive. Baldy took a step back, his voice trembling. Hey, he's actually a warrior. What is this intense aura? Without a word, Tsuyoshi swung the sword vertically. A flash of light streaked through the air, and a moment later, a massive lightning strike descended from the heavens, engulfing all three enemies. The thunderous impact left the three barely standing. Smoke rose from their charred clothes, and one of them gasped. How could that brat use such high-level magic? The instructor, now on his knees, stammered, I can't move my body. Tsuyoshi strode toward them, his glowing eyes fixed on his trembling foes. His grip on the sword tightened, the blade gleaming ominously. Baldy gritted his teeth, his mind racing. We underestimated him. He's completely different from before. What the hell is happening? This is bad. It's frustrating, but we have to retreat. Before they could act, Musclehead raised his hands, his voice shaking. Wait, we surrender. But Tsuyoshi wasn't interested in mercy. With a swift strike, he slashed across Musclehead's chest, sending him collapsing to the ground. His glowing eyes pierced through the fallen enemy. Do you think I'd forgive you for trying to kill me? Don't make me laugh. The instructor's fear reached a breaking point. Don't you realize who we are? We're from Crazy Wolf. Before he could finish, Tsuyoshi silenced him with a single, decisive swing, his voice cold. Shut up and die already. Baldy, now the last one standing, panicked. His hands searched his pockets frantically. He's not showing any mercy. He knows letting us escape would mean his death. Desperation took over. Do you think I'll let you kill me so easily? Baldy shouted, pulling out a small, round fruit and hurling it at Tsuyoshi. The system instantly displayed information before Tsuyoshi. Notification. Adhesive blast fruit, a rare and expensive item. This fruit sticks to its target and explodes. Despite its small size, it can cause massive damage. Tsuyoshi's instincts kicked in. Raising his blade, he shielded himself as the fruit stuck to his weapon. Baldy grinned wickedly. Explode! The explosion rocked the battlefield. A deafening roar followed by a blinding flash of light. Smoke and debris filled the air as the ground trembled. Barely able to stand, Baldy leaned on his staff, smirking confidently. I spent my life savings on those fruits. Even a level 12 hero would take serious damage from that blast. If you're just a low-level brat, your body should have been blown to pieces. Looking at the smoke, Baldy chuckled darkly. You're 10 years too early to fight us. As the dust and smoke from the explosion cleared, a dark figure emerged, coughing but standing firm. Tsuyoshi stepped forward, his eyes glowing with determination. Baldy's face twisted in disbelief. Impossible! What the hell is with his strength? Tsuyoshi brushed off the soot on his armor. If it weren't for my physique, I'd be dead by now. But for you. His voice trailed off, and without wasting time, he charged toward Baldy. In a blur of movement, Tsuyoshi's punch pierced Baldy's defenses. As the man crumpled to the ground, Tsuyoshi stood over him, coldly declaring, Do you think I'd feel safe letting you guys live? Picking up his sword again, Tsuyoshi muttered, So, you're members of Crazy Wolf. All of this happened because I'm still at a low level. His gaze shifted to the lifeless bodies around him. What a disgusting world, where the weak are devoured. Suddenly, his eyes caught sight of a small pouch on one of the corpses. Kneeling down, he opened it and examined its contents. What's this? From the pouch, a ring slipped into his hand. The system instantly displayed information. Notification, dimensional ring, a rare item capable of storing objects in a separate space. Tsuyoshi's eyes lit up. A dimensional ring? What a lucky find. Sliding it onto his finger, he chuckled. A normal hero wouldn't even dream of getting their hands on something like this. It's rare, expensive, and practically impossible to find on the market. Let's see how it works. Pouring mana into the ring, it glowed faintly. No way, it's activating right now. This ring is still new. A mischievous grin spread across his face. Rubbing his hands together, he muttered, It can't be helped. Thanks for the loot. Sometime later from a distance, Tsuyoshi noticed a squad of Hero Security Force members arriving at the scene. He watched from the shadows, his expression calm. The Hero Security Force is here. Good thing I left early. Merging into a crowd of onlookers, he glanced back at the scene and thought, I erased all traces of myself. I already took everything valuable. They won't find anything linking this to me. Walking away casually, Tsuyoshi flipped a smartphone in his hand. At the very least, I'm safe now. This new smartphone I got from Gaia is incredible. Once I bound my information code to it, it became mine. Suddenly, the phone rang. The unexpected sound startled Tsuyoshi, and he nearly dropped it. Catching it in time, he frowned. Who's calling at such a time? Answering the call, he said, Hello. A familiar voice replied, Hello, Tsuyoshi. It's Sensei. Hearing the voice, Tsuyoshi froze. Lily-sensei? My homeroom teacher? Memories flooded back. He hadn't submitted his withdrawal notice. What's the matter? Tsuyoshi asked cautiously. On the other end, Lily-sensei's voice carried a mix of concern and sternness. You still haven't returned to school, even though winter break ended over a week ago. I understand you want to leave for your sister's sake, and I know your financial situation might be difficult, but I don't want to see a student abandon their studies. Tsuyoshi's expression hardened, but his tone remained respectful. Thank you, but the problem isn't just money. Unspoken memories of bullying flickered in his mind. He clenched his fist but didn't voice his pain. Lily-sensei sighed. I understand, but you might be able to change your life if you don't stop your studies. About the tuition fee, I will try to do something about it, so you don't need to worry. Please be brave and come back to school tomorrow. You can't just be a cleaner for your sister and your own future. Can you? Tsuyoshi's mind wavered. She doesn't know I've become a hero now. She's the only one who ever worried about me. Her voice softened, almost trembling. You're a strong boy, Tsuyoshi. Don't run from your troubles. And continue your studies. I will become your strength as mass as I can. You can do it for your sister and for yourself. Scratching the back of his head, Tsuyoshi sighed. I thought I didn't want to go back to school anymore. It's because I don't have any pleasant memories there, but I realize it after talking to Lily-sensei. Clenching his fist with newfound determination, he thought, I am a hero now. I am not the same person who was powerless and bullied. I will make those bullies pay me back. Thank you very much, sensei, Tsuyoshi said aloud. I'll come to school tomorrow. Elsewhere, in a dimly lit office, a man sits at a grand desk, his sharp gaze fixed on the report in front of him. 3 of our members were killed by an unknown hero, he mutters, his voice low, but filled with menace. And their items were looted. Tapping his finger on the polished surface of the desk, he adds, that dimensional ring I entrusted to them. Stolen. His expression darkens, and anger flares in his eyes. You thief. You didn't even realize that I had already cast tracking magic on that ring. He leans forward, his attention drawn to a glowing device on the table displaying a moving to Tsuyoshi's location. I already know where you are, he growls. You won't live after stealing from Crazy Wolf. With a sudden burst of fury, he slams his palm onto the desk. The impact cracks the wood, the sound echoing through the room. Standing before him, a line of men in black suits remains motionless, their faces devoid of emotion. The man straightens up and commands, bring that thief to me. Without hesitation, the group responds in unison, their voices firm and synchronized. Yes, leader, that's it for today's video. If you enjoyed the recap, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe for more epic content. I mean, come on, where else will you find me digging up wild stories like this for you? And hey, I promise to keep bringing you new, exciting manhwa, because let's face it, your watch list deserves some spice. Catch you in the next one.